Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So, good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. This is our session three of our Let's Talk USMLE webinar series, and we are happy to answer questions or provide insightful information on research and electives. So, our speakers for today is Dr. Vinay Jahagirdar. He is already here. We weren't expecting you until 7 o'clock, but thanks for joining, Anna. Uh,
No
he is a
problem.
PGY2 at UMKC Internal Medicine. Uh, do you want to introduce yourself now?
We can wait also, Gavalante. But hi
Okay,
everyone. Looks like we have 60 people on the call right now. Yeah, I'm a PG by two at the University of Missouri, and I'll probably try to teach all of you, future colleagues of mine, a little bit about what you can be doing to improve your application. Yeah.
okay,
Over. Hi.
okay. So we'll talk more about how you can help and how this is going to be helpful today. And the other speaker is Dr. Saketh Annam. He'll be joining at 6:30 today. So I think without any delay, we can start with the first PowerPoint that we have. Uh, right. Okay. Shanti, can you share that PPT if you can, please? If you're sending. Your voice.
It is in your email, sir. Like you can open it.
So there's some issue with my system preferences or something. So let's see. Sorry, but hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So sorry for the delay. Few technical issues from our side. We're all beginners as well here. So today's session, session three on webinar series from Let's Talk USMLE. This is from my side. It's going to be more about US clinical experiences. What is it about, and how to. So what is US clinical experience? You after, I mean, either before you complete your med school or after you graduate from your med school, any residency program that you are applying to, they expect you to have some clinical experience in United States, so that they know that you've been into this US healthcare system, and you know how things are different compared to your home country health system. uh, what are the types of US clinical experience? There's a lot of you know doubts about hands-on clinical experience, non-hands-on. Hands-on clinical experience is nothing but that's something you do before your graduation. By the meaning of hands-on, it's supposed to be dealing with actual patient care, and you are treating patients. You're being part of the you know the whole system or the program who are managing the patients. uh, Types of hands-on clinical experience: electives, clerkship, sub-internship, externship. I think these are the terms they are generally used to describe hands-on experience. uh, Clerkship is used to refer to something that American medical students do as part of their med school curriculum, and when they try to apply something outside their med school curriculum, that is considered a clinical elective. uh, Sub internship, acting internship, these are other terms. Like for example, Cleveland Clinic has an acting internship where we can do an elective. I mean, the responsibilities that you have are almost equal to a PGY 1, in treating a patient. So that's something called a sub internship or acting internship. uh, Compared to clerkship, sub internship might has more extra responsibilities. Like for example, if clerkship, they might have responsibilities that MS2 or MS3, the second year or third year med student is supposed to do. But for a sub internship, MS4 or MS5, these med students take up sub internship. If we as an IMGs go do an acting internship, that is considered similar to a sub internship. That is what MS4 would do. Externship, this is also hands-on, but this is something you do after your graduation. I don't think there are a lot of places which give externships. I heard previously University of Missouri Columbia used to offer some few externships in neurology, uh, but I feel that was for 2 month duration. But I feel there are very few places which offer externships as a graduate. uh, the other things that you can do as a graduate is observership, which has nothing to do with actual patient care. Like you don't treat patient, you don't talk to patient, you don't examine the patient, or you don't take history from them. These are all considered what is hands-on experience, or on the left column that we have. uh, that's something called observership or shadowing opportunities. Um, we'll talk more about observation in the next slide. There's some other thing called research elective, which I think I mean, I heard a lot about this from John Hopkins University that was giving out 8 week of research elective. You have to reach out to specific attending who who'd like who'd like to sponsor you, and that goes through GME or their program coordinator, and they would take you in for a research elective. I think to get a research elective, you might need at least publications or something on your CV that is research oriented before applying for that. Otherwise, I don't think uh, you are going to get it unless you have close contacts who can offer that. So these are the most common types or terms that we refer to while describing an USCE or US clinical experience. And many people come up with questions like, so do you think if we get a hands-on elective through a third agency, do you think that is more better compared to an observership, or that is more better compared to a university elective? So this is one algorithm which I followed, or I some of our friends were also discussing about, which I feel is good for everyone. So hands-on university based or academic based electives is better than university or academic setting based observerships, better than externships if you find any, uh, is always better than third party agencies which offer hands-on electives in an outpatient setting. So by academic based setting, I mean a place where there is a residency and which is something similar to a, if not a university, something near to a university, which have a separate neurological institute or gastroenterology institute where they take fellows, residents, and which is more on teaching side rather than just a healthcare setup. So that way, I feel a university or academic based observership is much more helpful and useful for you as an applicant compared to those third party agencies which offer outpatient electives and say they are hands-on. There are a lot of reasons I say that, and maybe we can talk about this in the next slide. Uh, but before we dive into that, again, why do we need US clinical experience? So this is something Shanti brought it up. Uh, so as a non-US IMG, if you see people who matched into either neurology or internal medicine, the average number of work experiences, be it within the US or outside US, it would be, for example, for internal medicine it's 6.3, and for neurology somewhere between 6.7. Uh, so generally saying you just need 3 LOAs to be able to apply for residency through maths. I mean in a math cycle, but it's always the more the merrier. So as you can see on the right side, 5 or more, the maths percentage is higher, and with less than 2, it's really difficult to match into a good program. So the more the merrier, but 3 is a good number. Three months of US clinical experience is a good number to start with. And how do we go by how to apply for rotation? So in my second year, when people say that my seniors are going for elective, so they used to have a lot of universities or teaching hospitals like Cleveland Clinic, Emory, Mayo, uh, I think Mount Sinai, they were all open, but things changed after COVID. Now I think it's getting really difficult to get a good university or academic based clinical electives. So like, what are the options that we have? The first thing is you apply directly to university electives through their official website. I'll give you an example. So if you type in Cleveland Clinic elective application, you'll come across the website. So how to apply Cleveland Clinic elective program, if you can see on the first one, you see that new application process opens on February 15th, 2023. I think they are open. And you go into this application for international students. Okay, it's taking a little time. So as you can see, a $200 application fee for clinical, $400 for international students. That is non-refundable. And you might want to create an account, log in, send in all your application, I mean all your details, and you can choose to apply for 3 or more options that you have from their the catalog, and pay the application fee, and that's it. You don't hear from them until it's 2 months or 3 months before your start date. So this is just one example. So anytime you hear that some person is doing an elective at Cleveland Clinic, some ex person is doing an elective at Weill Cornell, you just go online, type Weill Cornell clinical elective, and see if they are open or something that you can do. Look at their requirements. Like for example, for this, you see the requirements. Where do we send requirements? Okay. So for the requirements, health insurance, immunization, malpractice insurance, medical school approval, must be a final year medical student. This is all something you can do. So you can get it done, but this is very important. You need to have your step 1 score and pass required. That is something you need to consider. So before you start applying, I would suggest completing your step 1, because most of the places, there are few, but most of the places require step 1 before applying for an elective. This is another exam, so I think this changed it. OET or TOEFL exam is required as well, and you need to have your B1 B2 visa. Even if you don't have one, you can tell them that if I get an elective, I would arrange a visa for myself before coming into United States. this is not something not mandatory for us, but it can be easily done. And the $400 application fee. So uh, when people say that you need to apply and see for electives, forget about the application fee, because it's worth it. The even the $400, $200 application fee is worth the university elective. So I would say forget about the application fee and try to uh, apply broadly, apply 5 to 6 electives. If you at least get two acceptance out of that, that would be wonderful. So that is one thing. The other way you can apply for electives is through cold emails. This will work well for observerships, and it worked in my case as well. I reached out to one of the attending, and he was generous in offering an observership when I asked for. Uh, People say that you can't get an LOR out of observership, but I feel, I've seen people getting letter of recommendations as well. If you are a graduate, uh, observerships are the only options that you have other than the third party agencies. So combination of third party electives, which states that it's a hands on elective, and the other observerships is a good combination to go. Cold emails. So what is a cold email? You just email randomly to all the persons that you see. If you find an email, you just don't ask directly for provide me an observation, but you try to approach him in a polite manner, introduce yourself, uh, tell them that you are planning to come to US in the future, and you've completed your step one. You have a valid B1 B2 visa. I'm looking for shadowing opportunities and to get exposure to US healthcare system. At least, like, if you send 10 to 20 emails, I think you'll get one reply. That's okay, that's normal. So you just need one email or one person who would be able to sponsor you for 1 month of observership. So 2 to 3 observerships that way would be wonderful if you have good amount of time before you apply. That is one other way you can ask for observerships. Reach out to your contacts asking for rotation in their hospital. So if you know some residents, if you know some fellows or some college alumni who is an attending in some university hospital, you can always reach out to them and see if there is any opportunity or possibility that they can offer you an observership, or if possible elective as well. I've seen a few of my juniors who reached out to us, their someone who they know from the hospital, and they got clinical electives as well, even though it was competitive. So things might work in your favor, but you need to do your part first. So try reaching out and asking for help. And again, third party agencies are always available. If you don't see anything, and if your timeline is if the match deadline is approaching, like if you are in June, July, then third party agencies are always approachable, and you can do electives there as well. What is VSLO? Some medical students keep asking if VSLO, non VSLO. So visiting student learning opportunities. So like LSU, Louisiana State University, Mayo, previously they were not part of this VSLO organization. VSLO is a system where they allow medical students from other countries to rotate with them, but the college which they are coming from should be part of this VSLO organization as well. I think in Telugu states, Apollo or Malareddy are the only institutes that are part of VSLO. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think those are the only institutes. BJ Medical College in Gujarat is part of VSLO. I've seen some people going to Mayo to do their electives because they're part of VSLO now. So previously, there were a lot of institutes that were outside VSLO where we can go. Like we are not part of VSLO, like Usmania, Gandhi, or whichever medical college is not part of VSLO. So we could approach LSU, Mayo, but now LSU, Mayo are all part of VSLO. So we lost few opportunities there, and we will not be able to apply for those institutions. The other thing is, when I tried doing this, so our institute can register to be part of VSLO, but the process is tedious, and your college should be willing to do that. And there's a fee. Like for example, if the college is part of Global Network, the college has to pay $1,000 fee every year to enroll in the VSLO program. They have to keep paying. $1,000 every year. So if that's something your college can consider doing, that would be wonderful, because lot of opportunities open up if you are part of VSLO. So try reaching out to your principal or someone from your college and ask if they would be willing to join this VSLO by paying that minimal fee every year. And if they can do that, if you can initiate that from your side, your batch as well as your juniors might benefit from that a lot, because as I was telling, many hospitals which were not part of VSLO previously, they joined VSLO after COVID. And when you're not part of VSLO, you're losing out a lot of opportunities there. So that is about VSLO. So few screenshots from Shanti, which universities take IMGs for electives without step one, and nothing to do with VSLO, because it's waste of time talking about those institutes. These are the recent ones that we know. I know there is a big list which is available on Reddit and Twitter, LinkedIn, which provides a big list of hospitals and programs, but things changed after COVID. These are the only ones we could confirm that they are part of, they are taking IMGs currently. So Mount Sinai, NIH, Will Cornell, Kansas University, UAB, these are quite popular. FIU is also popular. So each program, each elective has different requirement. Like for example, NIH, National Institute of Health, the application fee is free and the tuition fee is also free, but you need at least 28 marks in speaking and listening sections of TOEFL. This is a unique requirement, but that's how it is. And always apply for electives at least 6 months well in advance, because things are competitive now, and it might be difficult for you to find a slot or month very near to your application date. UAB, as you can see, $300 application fee, but the whole elective cost is $5,000. So these are some things you need to consider if you can do that. Cleveland Clinic, the application fee is $400. As I was showing before, but the actual elective cost is $1,500, I guess. So that is good again. So yeah, electives with step one. So this slide, even without step one, you can apply for these electives. So it's good thing that if you can spare some amount of some dollars and apply well in advance, like 1 year, then it's a good thing to consider. But when you have your step one, you can try applying to Cleveland Clinic, Sloan Kettering. Again, I was telling, Mayo Clinic and Emory used to offer electives for IMGs, but they went into VSLO now, and we may not be able to go do electives there. I heard UNC is also providing electives these days. Each program has specific requirements, which you can Google online, as I was showing before, and see what are the specific requirements. What documents are required to apply for electives? This is a general idea, but again, specific documents might be required for specific electives. TOEFL scores, letter of good standing from your dean, medical school transcript, which is nothing but how you have been performing with your university exams as well as your postings. You can find samples online. Your CV, just your basic CV. You don't have to worry too much about this, because this is just for electives. So which college, what were your grades, pre-med school, med school, and any other hobbies, extracurricular activities, certifications that you have done can be put in that CV. They're not going to provide or not give you electives based on your CV or something. Again, B1, B2 visa, if you have it before, well and good, but if you don't, you can always apply for a visa after you get acceptance from an elective, from a program. Health insurance, it's always advisable to take health insurance from India, because it's cheaper. But if you don't care about the money, you can take it in US. I went twice. The first time I took it from India, it was somewhere between $8,000 rupees for 3 months. But the second time I visited US, I couldn't take it from here. So there it was somewhere between $50 per month, and you have to renew it every month. You have a lot of companies, and you can find it online. Health insurance, I took it from IMG Insurance. Malpractice insurance is something people ask for, and they have specific requirements, like for 100,000 liability insurance, or they have some specific requirements, and you can uh, take these insurances from US companies as well, like IMG insurance. I think that's one thing I know. And you can always ask your program coordinator or elective program coordinator for suggestions on where to get your malpractice insurance. They are really helpful, and they'll help you with that. AAMC immunization form. Someone has to. You can download this from online, and yes, I'll show you a quick immunization form. This is the PDF. You have to fill out the details and get it signed by a local medical officer or your primary care physician. I hope you can see this. Uh, am I audible? Like,
Yes,
okay.
yes, sir.
Nice. So this is the AMC standardized immunization form. You fill out your details when you took your MMR dose. Someone has all your vaccination details, and someone has to certify at the end. It can be your primary care physician. It can be someone from your college or some physician, and stamp it, and that's it. You can send it to your program. Urine drug screen, some people ask. Criminal background check, this is nothing but you take a letter from your local police station saying that I don't have any criminal history. This is easily done. You can reach out to your local police station. Some people ask for letter of recommendation from your internal medicine department if you're applying for internal medicine, or even for neurology, or pediatrics if you're applying for pediatric electives. So your hospital might have a standard letter of recommendation, or you can provide them and they can sign it for you. Personal statements, few programs ask for it. Personal statement, again, similar to your residency application. You just tell a story about yourself, and give the reason why you want to move to US and why you want to do electives there. What is that you are expecting out of that rotation? HIPAA certification, that is something you can do online. I think it's somewhere between $15 to $20. You can do so HIPAA training online. Any website can, so you can see $30 for individual. This is nothing but patient. Okay, so this is something that deals with how well you can deal with patient information, because uh, the patient data or the medical information is very important in US, and you don't want to leave it everywhere. They'll teach you how to not leave the paper copies everywhere and trash it properly, and how to not talk about a patient by naming him while you're in an elevator or something. So this is something that you can do online. It's easier. That's one of the requirement. And BLS, ACLS, you can do it as part of your MBS curriculum, or even in care hospitals, Hyderabad, or any hospital that near you can provide BLS, ACLS certificates. You can Google online and see a lot of pages showing up. Uh, the last but one slide, observership. So how do you reach out for observership? So I feel it's observerships are very easier to get, and you should definitely make use of it. Like, even if you're doing electives before you apply for math season, once you apply for math cycle, the observerships are the only thing that you can do. And you should definitely make most use of these observership, because you don't have very huge applications. They don't take a lot of documentation. It's just that, so on the right side, this can you see the power? I mean, the my what is this cursor?
Yes.
Okay, so this part, I don't. So I've never known what GME or Graduate Medical Education Office is until I've been to US. So every hospital or every academic setting will have a graduate medical education office, the GME office. So GME office, Kansas University, you type in there and you see this. You can reach out to them and ask if they are providing observership, if their hospital provides observership. Some people might say that yes, we do, you have to go through GME office. Or some people might say that it is program specific, and you might want to reach out to specific program coordinator. Like, for example, if you want to apply to neurology, reach out to neurology program coordinator. So the office of GME is there to help all the residents and the students coming in from other countries, IMGs, coming in for electives as well. So this is one thing you can always reach out to and uh, arrange an observership for yourself. The other way things work is, like for example, hospitals, which is University Hospital Observership, they already have emails listed out on their website specific for each program. So you don't need to go through GME again if they have that listed out. So for example, if you want to do an observership radiation oncology, this is the email or the person you might want to reach out to and ask if they have slots available to sponsor an observership. uh, Again, to get an observership, you need a sponsor, nothing but an attending who is willing to take responsibility of you for 1 month or 2 weeks or whatever time you are being in that hospital. So that is called sponsoring. And hospitals doesn't require a prior sponsor. If you reach out to this Lauren Allen and ask if you can do an observation radiation oncology, they will arrange a sponsor for you. They will reach out to radiation oncology department and see if they are willing to take one student who is from India for an observership, and one of the attending might be interested in taking you. So you don't need a prior sponsor. But most of the other hospitals require a prior sponsor, and so you arrange a sponsor for yourself by reaching out through LinkedIn or mass emailing, or someone might want refer your application and they might want to sponsor, and that's when you reach out to GME and say that, hey, Dr. X is willing to sponsor me an observership, and I'm hoping to rotate or shadow him in his clinic for next 2 weeks. So they'll send out an application, just fill it, provide basic immunization stuff, proofs, and that's it. You are good to go do an observership there. And again, as I was telling, this slide here, this is about program specific uh, application. So University of Kentucky Neurology, they offer observership, and you have to go through this uh, neurology program coordinator and send in all your application details and CV and everything. And if they are willing to sponsor and they have a slot left, then they'll reach out to you and say that, yes, we have a slot and we are ready to take. So three ways you can ask for observerships. And after you do your electives, and after September when you apply for match, you should definitely make great use of this and do observership whenever possible, because observerships are a great way to get contacts, get references. If you do an observership, there are high chances that you might hear from them during your interview cycle, and you might interview there and probably end up there for your residency as well. So take big advantage of these observerships. Uh, and again, traveling to USA, plan well in advance, because it's all about money. If you have money to spare, then it's okay. You can travel how many times ever you want, but it's always advisable to plan your 3 to 4 months of electives at a stretch and go to US. That way you don't spend twice on your flight tickets. Flights are the costliest thing. So booking, booking in advance will save a lot of money. Accommodation, first thing is look for safer areas. If you're going to do an elective in Kansas City, reach out to someone in Kansas, and be it medical or non-medical person, ask for safer areas and try to be there. uh, I personally, so again, so what are the options? So you can reach out to the program manager and ask if they provide accommodation within the hospital. For electives, some programs do, but for observation, most programs don't. uh, they might give you some suggestions, and you can choose from there. Airbnb is always there, you can use that. Suleka.com is a website for Indian roommates or Indian stuff. So if you feel comfortable being around Indians, that is one website where you can see if there's a room, someone is posting an ad looking for a roommate, or you can post an ad as well, and see if someone has a room to spare for you. I stayed with my engineering friends. I stayed with my childhood friends who are currently doing their MS in US now. So I felt comfortable because there are a lot of you make a lot of friends in the 1 month you're staying with them, because they're already well established there since last 1 year or 2 years, and it's easier to get food, utilities, and everything. So that's about accommodation. Bank account. So whenever you go to US, things to consider. What option do you have to spend money? Forex card. A forex card is always an option. You Any bank has an option to take a forex card. You load your money basing on the current transaction rate and use it until it dries out. Uh, that's one option. And the other one is easier thing. If you have a brother or a sibling living in US, you can take a card from there, like a credit card from them, and use it until your application season. I mean, for your application season. Advantage from this is some of the US credit cards give you cashback on large transactions that you make. For during the match cycle, you tend to make transactions worth $6,000, $8,000. So if you take a credit card from someone you know and use their credit card for that amount, maybe 5% of 6,000, somewhere between 250 $300 is also a big amount. So that's something you can consider doing. But if you don't have those options, what I did was I took a US bank account. There are few banks few which give IMGs like us a bank account basing on just the B1 B2 visa and elective acceptance letter. So I took a bank account from PNC. Chase also provides that. It requires minimum balance, but PNC Bank doesn't have a minimum balance. So I took the bank account. I borrowed some money from someone I know in the US, and you can do the transaction between India and US. But I took some money from someone I know in US and loaded it in my account, and I kept using it as a debit card until my application season for my application season as well. So these are the three options that I found we can use as an IMG. For the food, cooking is always cheaper. During your electives, it's always suggestible to cook something beforehand and take it. But if you don't, because you're not earning for 1 month, so for typical meal in a hospital canteen, it will be between somewhere between $7 to $12. So if you calculate that, that's the minimum. $7 is that minimum. 7.5 is the minimum, I guess. You just get a small sandwich for 7.5, or small one slice of pizza for $6. So it's always advisable to cook something and take for your lunch. That way you save a lot of money. You do your math now. You always have options from ready to eat like Haldirams, where you freeze your frozen foods. You take it. You get them from a Indian store, store it in your refrigerator, and use it. Uh, Again, takeaway or hospital canteens are always available if you can spare extra money. Uh, I think that's it. I wanted to speak about. One other suggestion or one other resource that I have for you today is ResiAI. So as you can see here, ResiAI, this is something similar which was started by Dr. Tabby last year. So for my interview preparation, this helped out a lot. So ResiAI is just a Discord community. It is currently on Discord. Previously, it used to be on WhatsApp, but because there are a lot of participants, it moved to Discord, where the number of participants is more. So join this ResiAI Discord group. Uh, that is nothing to deal with money. Again, it's all free. There's a big community. You can always ask for people who are going from US to India, where you can see where people are doing their electives or observerships. And uh, during your math cycle, she comes up with these interview practice sessions where she pairs you, like for example, if in that specific day there are 4 or 5 neurology applicants, she'll put them all in a separate Zoom room, and we practice our interviews together. So that's how I practice my interviews, and I was able to do better. So join the ResiAI group. That's something I would suggest you for today. And again, don't forget to follow Let's Talk USMLE on Instagram, LinkedIn, and we're also on Twitter from yesterday. I think I went a little fast because we are running out of time, but I hope you guys can get some information from this. Yeah, done for today.
Is there anything that Manasa ma'am would like to add, sir?
Manasa.
I guess he covered pretty much everything, but a small suggestion for you, like I was struggling with the thing whether to concentrate on my step 2 or find better US clinical experience. So I would suggest you to have a minimum of 3 months of clinical experience. But then again, if you are really stressed about what to concentrate on specifically, then concentrate on your step 2, or it's preferable to get a high score. So of course you need to have 3 months of clinical experience, but having 2 months and a good score is also good enough. And yeah, another thing, I know some people might not be doing university electives right now, and you might be pretty stressed about it. But After the COVID, as he was talking about, the situation has changed drastically. Now, even though people are having a university electives, there are still a lot more people who do not have them. So don't stress about it too much. You have done the thing you could. Just focus on building up a well-rounded application for yourself. Work more on your publications and try to improve your score by a bit. Try to establish more contacts. That's what you can do if you are done with your electives right now. And even if you don't get a university elective, there are always options, and observerships are really a good way to go. But you have to have a lot of patience for that. You have to keep sending emails to the professors and reach out to a few of your seniors. They might be able to guide you which professors are like more responsive. So that is the one way it works. So I actually personally sent up to around 50 emails, and I heard back from 4 of them. So I mean, you must have that patience if you need to really get it. So yeah, I guess that's about it.
Sai Kumar, very comprehensive discussion. And I actually agree with a few things that Manasa said. Compared to all of you who went in recently, I did my electives around 3 or 4 years ago. Just to add a few points to what you all said. So one thing that Manasa mentioned was how she reached out to 50 people and like 2 of them got back. My situation was similar but exponentially worse. My proportions were worse than yours, Manasa. When I landed in US, it was February 2020. And if you guys remember, March 2020 is when COVID hit. That was
Yeah.
when there were no flights out of US. So all the important skills that you spoke about, like cooking and stuff, I had to pick up. I had no option. I was stranded in the US. But a combination of all these things, and maybe this basically shows all of you that being persuasive and committed to what you want will help in this journey. That being said, like I also wrote out to multiple people. Only one replied. More than 50 people I reached out to. I don't want to embarrass myself and say how many people I reached out to. That's number one. And
Same
then
thing here.
yeah, number two is these life skills. So when we are in India, I think most of us have a sort of cushioned life where we're used to ordering what we want. Zomato, Swiggy will be at our doorstep. Otherwise, you have parents, grandparents cooking for us. But in the US, like Sai pointed out rightly, everything in the cafeteria costs above $5. Your head will be doing the 80 table multiplication. You'll be like, okay, one slice of pizza, 400. And you do have delivery apps like Swiggy, not like Swiggy exactly, but you have Uber Eats and stuff here. But again, if you just order something as small as, say, a burger, it's going to put you back $20 at least with the delivery charge and tip. So pick up some life skills before you come to the United States. Learn at least how to cook the basic things, and hopefully that should help you steer your boat. Anyway, I'll let you guys carry on the conversation. Thought I'll pitch in here.
Yeah, thanks for pitching in again. Yeah, so I'm sorry, but we are running late. So if you guys have any questions, we'll put it for the end. We have a question and answer session at the end. Uh, Dr. Saketh Annam, is he here? Are you here or not? Let's see. So our next speaker,
Ritika, would you like to take over?
Yeah. Thank you, sir, for your valuable input. It was very informative. I hope our audience had something to take away from this. Next, I would like to introduce Dr. Vinay, a second-year internal medicine resident at UMKC. He's a he's Gandhi Medical College an alumnus who has won numerous gold medals and Resident of the Year last year. He has multiple presentations at national and international conferences, including American College of Gastroenterology, Digestive Disease Week, ACP, AASLD, and numerous other publications. Please welcome.
Thanks, Ritvika. Sorry, didn't expect that, so I was surprised. Can I share my screen, Sai?
I think you can, Anna.
Let's see.
Co-host.
Yeah, now I can. Thank you. 1 second.
Okay.
Hmm. Give me just 1 second while I figure this out. Sai, running into technical issues. Let me just share my PPT with you.
Okay.
Meanwhile, we can.
I think I have here, Sanna.
Yeah, I just revised it again. Can you put your email address out?
Yeah. I sent you on WhatsApp in the group. You're muted, Anna.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay.
I'm just sending it over. All of you, this is starting trouble, sort of. But once we start, I'm sure all of you will really enjoy what we have to say. Okay, so it should be coming your way. Oh, 1 second.
Okay.
So
It's okay, Anna. We all had technical issues, so we're not
yeah.
techies anyway.
So looks like we have around 100 people on the call. I don't want to waste all of your time. As I start the presentation, I'll just go ahead and start talking. Meanwhile, if you all have any questions, you can just ask on the chat box. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me for conversation. Today's talk, I don't want to teach you all anything. I consider all of you as my future colleagues. In the next 3 years or 5 years, all of you are going to be here. And that's why I just want to share my experiences and some suggestions on what you can be doing, how you can improve your CV and stuff like that. Common mistakes that I made, which I would not want you all to repeat. At the end of this conversation, of course, we're going to have all our contact information, and you're free to reach out to any of us with any questions. My conversation today is mainly going to be about networking and reaching out. We're going to have a
I
small.
have your PPT, Anna. Should I
Go ahead. Go ahead.
start sharing? Yeah.
Yeah. I think you will only have to drive, Sai. I'll keep saying next.
Still, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So we'll talk about what is networking. We'll talk about a couple of things.
Can you all see the slides?
I'm able to see them. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
We got a thumbs up. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Looks like people are listening. So yeah, I'm a PGY2 internal medicine resident. I'll be going into PGY3 from July. So I thought I'll share some perspective that I've gained over the couple of years. Next. So I'm from Gandhi. So that's Gandhi. Next. And that's where I'm working right now. Okay, next. So I don't have any disclosures. No, I don't work for any organization. Next. So let's look at the outline. So we'll talk about what networking is, how you can communicate effectively, what is your ERA CV, what are the components for ERA CV, how you can be researching programs when you're applying for residency, Twitter and why Twitter is important in today's day and age, and what is research, why do we need to collaborate for research, and just my 2 cents. In this conversation, I want it to be like an interaction between colleagues. So I'll keep involving you, Sai. I'll talk to you, Ritvika, and Shanti as well. And of course, we'll have time for some Q&A at the end. All right. Next, yeah. So networking, Sai, when I say, okay, go back one.
Okay.
Okay, let's bring Shanti on. Shanti, so when I say networking, what does it actually mean to you?
Um, Going out, putting myself out there, making people know that I'm an applicant for the coming season, that I'm interested in their program, or that I'm
Mhm.
interested in the particular specialty, and just showing that I'm a strong candidate for the match, trying to get my name out there is what I think.
Yeah, correct. I think you're covering the right areas. Okay, sign next. So, if you look at how you define networking, it actually they say it's interacting with others to exchange information and develop professional or social contacts. So, like Shanti said, she's basically sort of projecting herself with the aim of building a professional or social contact with someone. Coming from India, like I'm also from Gandhi, we were always told about networking and the importance of networking in USMLE. And even today, I'm like, networking sounds like a very intimidating term, but it's pretty straightforward, and we'll talk about it next. So it's never too late to reach out to people. You can start early. You can start now. Now is the best time. Next. So you want to spread your net wide, and when I talk about net and who to network with, you'll see. Yeah, go ahead. So who do you have? You have your college alumni. So for people from Gandhi or Usmania, there was a recent figure which said if you look at the National Physician Registry in the United States, there are around 2 to 3,000 people just from Gandhi Medical College who are registered and who are practicing physicians here. They may be residents, attendings, various people across the spectrum, but that's just Gandhi. Similarly, Usmania, I must admit, has a couple hundred more physicians registered with the NPI, but there are other colleges as well, including AIMS and stuff like that.
Guntur Medical College also has big alumni in US.
Which one?
Guntur Medical
Oh,
College.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
Guntur, Kakatiya, and stuff. So, first step would be the first people who you could reach out to would be your own college seniors. Now, I know that not all people come from medical colleges who have a lot of seniors, and sometimes you may find yourself as the only one in a couple of batches who is applying for USMLE. That is when you can also reach out to other people from your hometown or from your state. Next. So what you'll see, yeah, go ahead, finish the slide actually, sir. So you can reach out not only to people from your own hometown or state, you can talk to your relatives, and then you have to be sort of shameless in this. Reach out to your friends, friends of friends, friends of friends of friends. It is hard, especially with us coming from India. We're not used to, but this is the only way we'll grow. And you don't know who can be helpful for you at what stage. So I suggest just reaching out to people, have conversations, and we'll go on to talk about what we can do when we actually reach out to people. So before we start reaching out to people, there are some do's and don'ts. And when I say that, I'm talking about some of the US terminology and lingo. Common mistakes that I see people doing. For example, in India, we say like, which college are you from? Or, where do you work? Which your PG at which college? But here in the US, for instance, they say, instead of PG, they say resident. Instead of college or hospital, they say program. So here are some common ones that I find which are done very often. Go ahead, you can finish the slide as well. Yeah. So these are some do's and don'ts, and I'm not sure if anyone will correct you if you say that. That's why I thought, given this opportunity, I can just put it out there. But say you're reaching out to someone new, remember to refer to them by doctor last name. In India, we commonly go by doctor first name, but in the US, they prefer doctor last name. So, for instance, you can just say Dr. Jagirdar. Are you a resident at the University of Missouri, Kansas City? Not like Dr.VINAY PG at University of Missouri. And even when referring to a professor or consultant who we call in India, they call them attendings here. So when you're making that first move, the first impression, they say is the last impression. So it's very important that you just be cognizant that certain terminology is different. Of course, other things like gasoline and petrol, gas station, petrol pump, these terms you will come across when you move to the United States and adapt. But these are more important, especially when you're reaching out to people. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about this. Um, what we'll talk about is how you'll have your first interaction. And again, I may pull up Shanti or Ritvika to help me with something here. When you're reaching out to someone, say there's a resident in a particular program and you want to reach out to them, I would always suggest that you do your homework first. That being said, know who that resident is, which program he goes to. It's very easy. So Shanti, if say you didn't know me, how would you actually look me up?
I would, I would, the first thing I would do is I would Google you. So
Mm-hmm. So what will Google?
information, I would just type your name, Vinay Jahagirdar, and your LinkedIn profile might show up, or your where you're working, the hospital that you're currently working at might show up. Things like that.
Exactly. So it's easy, right?
It is easy to reach out to you.
So if you just Google any resident's name in the United States, all residency programs have their own website. And on the website, they are going to list the resident's name. So sure shot, you'll get to know which program that person is at. Number two, all residents are registered with something called the NPI, which is like a physician indexed registry. Definitely their name will be on it. You'll know which city they are. So that being said, now you know where the person is working and you can reach out to them with confidence, and you can actually look up their program. So for instance, I'm at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. You can just go to UMKC internal medicine residency program, find out about it, and say you're actually wanting to interview at that program. You can read up a little about it and give some reasons why you think you would be a good match for the program. Of course, these are things that come in later, but at least for the first interaction, if you're reaching out to someone, it would be definitely helpful if you knew where they are, and PGY1, PGY2, PGY3, and all this information is available in public domain. Now, names can be really confusing here. For example, UMKC and KUMC. I made this mistake as a medical student when I was applying. So it's University of Missouri, Kansas City, and then Kansas University Medical Center. Now, Sai matched at KU, MC, I'm at UMKC. It is confusing. But say you reach out to someone from KUMC and say UMKC, they're just going to be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, or so be thoughtful about these small things. It's very easy to slip up, but I think this is something you can easily avoid. The next thing I wanted to talk about was an elevator pitch. Ritvika, are you here with us? If Ritvika is not here, I'll ask you, Sai, because but the thing is, Sai, I'm sure you've rehearsed this million times, so again I may have
Yeah.
to ask Shanti. So Shanti, I'll tell you what an elevator pitch is. Suppose you're in a high rise, okay, 20-floor building, and you get into the elevator, and boom, you see an attending. You see he's a program director. He's going to the 20th floor, and your elevator is going to take 20 seconds. You have that 20 seconds to make an impression. What would you say about yourself? How would you make an impression? Sorry to put you on the spot here.
Definitely, this is a hard question. So first, I would introduce myself, and if I know him already, like if I've already done my research about him, I would say that something like, I don't know, I read the paper that you published recently. I was really intrigued by it. We can talk more about this if you would like, something like that.
Okay, real life situation. I won't put you in under so much stress. Say you met me for the first time. I'm not a program director. I'm not an attending. I'm just a resident. You have 20 seconds. Tell me what you're going to say. Like realistically, and think it was a real life situation.
Do I know you already?
Uh, you don't know me personally, but maybe you know of me.
Okay, like I've
You
heard
sound
about you.
better. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, hi, sir, or hi, Dr. Jahagirdar. I am Shanti from India. I've come here to do my rotation at Swan's Hospital. I've heard a lot about you and planning to apply for the coming math season. Is there anything that you, I don't know, like your input or?
Okay. Yeah, I guess you're getting a hang of it. That's a good first attempt. Let's ask Sai now, because I know Sai has done this. Now, this is a very important question.
It is important.
Every interview, the first question they're going to ask in the interview is, tell me about yourself. Once again, we are not used to talking to people about ourselves, so it can really put us in a difficult situation. I'll see what Sai has to say, and then we'll discuss this further.
Yeah. So before I give my answer, there's something I need to tell. So be it a resident or an attending, or be it a non-medical person as well, there is this thing called when you see a person, or just to clear that awkwardness when you're in a lift with a stranger, you're supposed. I mean, you're not supposed to, but they just greet you with warm welcome. Like, hi, how's your day? How's your like, how are you? Are you doing good? These are like similar lines that these people use. So I would start using that as well, just to clear that cloud, and that anxiety between strangers meeting in a lift for the first time. So with a resident, I would say like, hey, Dr. Jagidar, how are you doing today? He would obviously no one would go without replying. He would just start the conversation like, hi, have we met before? Or I'm good, how are you? How's your day? Then I would say that it's good. So I don't think we met before, but currently I'm an medical student from India. My name is Sai Kumar, and I'm currently doing a rotation in internal medicine or hemo-oncology. I think I saw you last week in doing a rotation in hemo-onc as well. I was hoping to run into you again, but I didn't have a chance to meet you again. So pleasure meeting you here today. Then that's how we'll start our conversation. And if I know that he is from India as well, or he is from Hyderabad in specific, I'll bring that up as well. Like, I'm from Hyderabad and I graduated from Usmania. So anything that we have similar, we can bring that up, just so that he can hook onto that and continue the conversation from there. So I think that would be my answer.
Sai, that's awesome. You sound like you were waiting outside the elevator for a couple of days and mastered this. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But that being said, the elevator pitch is really important, guys. Every interview, when you're going to interview, the first question they're going to ask you is, tell me about yourself. You want to sound spontaneous, but you need to be prepared. So there are a couple of things. Just have at least 4 or 5 lines in your head. You don't want to sound like you're reading your CV out, but just tell them briefly. So like Sai said, and like Shanti said, what I would say is like, first, of course, it's going to be awkward if you just go and be like, I am so and so. Break that ice. And after that, just tell them briefly about what they want to know and what you want from them. Because if I meet Sai in the elevator and he's like, I wanted to talk to you, I'm like, okay, what do you want? So the last line has to be about what you're expecting. So just be like, for instance, what I would say is, hi, I'm Vinay. I'm a PGY2 internal medicine resident at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. I went to medical school at Gandhi Medical College, and then I moved here to pursue my residency. I'm interested in gastroenterology, and I've been working, publishing, presenting at conferences. I just wanted to connect with you and, hopefully get in touch with you, maybe via Twitter, if that's okay. They'll be like, oh yeah, add me or something. So then they have a face to the name, and you can go ahead with that. So remember, med school. So they, like we spoke about the US lingo. We say college. We're used to saying college, but here they say med school. For them, college is more like pre-med or something. So they want to know about who you are, where you're coming from, which med school you went to, and then in a sentence or two, just try to encompass all your achievements. You're not reading your CV, remember, so just tell them about something in your academic field, your scholarly activities. But when I put extracurriculars out there, I didn't mean that you again read your ERA CV out, but yeah, something that's really relevant. So for example, if the weather is good and you're someone who likes say cycling outside, just drop that in. That way they
I
remember
mean,
you.
when we continue that conversation for 1 or 2 minutes, then I think that's when we need to bring out. So, what do you do for fun, or what are your hobbies? But in the
Right.
first line itself,
Yeah. So I
yeah,
don't, yeah, you don't have to say all this at the first instance in a real elevator. At 30 seconds, you won't
yeah.
have the time. But the whole concept of elevator pitch is something I wanted to introduce. Because when the first time someone asked me about myself, I was like, what do I tell them about myself? So keep this, and this is an answer that will always be developing, will always change depending on where you are in life. That's something to keep in mind. Okay, next slide. So yeah. So in your first interaction with someone, remember, like I said earlier, first impression is sort of last impression. but don't hesitate in reaching out to people. The only reason is what is the worst outcome, Shanti? If you reach out to me, what's the worst that you can what's the worst thing that can happen?
You might not respond, or you would say that I
Yeah, I
can't.
may exactly, I may ghost you,
Yeah,
or I may be like, sorry, I'm busy. Uh, Reach out to me later, or yeah, or I may say, sorry, I don't think it's possible. But at least you reached out. So that's number one. Don't hesitate in reaching out to people. The second thing is, I want you guys to be cognizant that as an internal medicine resident or resident physician in US, you're going to see this. If you're going to come here next 3 years, next 2 years, life is really busy in the sense, apart from your professional commitments, you have to take care of yourself here. You have to cook, clean, do your laundry. For instance, like I'm here this morning. Luckily, I don't have a shift, but I'm going to night shift today evening. Uh, I came back home 6 p.m. yesterday. We have some short time. In that short time, we try to deal with other things in life. So if I don't get back to you immediately, don't take it personally. People may have other things going on, but still, that being said, be persuasive, put yourself out there, and just wait for the other person to reply. Worst situation is they don't reply. That's when you just reach out to someone else.
if I
Okay.
don't make effort, I'm
Yeah.
giving it a 0% chance of it happening. So
Chance of what? Sorry, Shanti.
if I don't make an effort, I'm not even giving myself a chance. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
think there's a quotation from Michael Jordan. He says the shots that you missed are the ones that you never took. So yeah, you have to make that. Yeah. Next, I think yeah, yeah, yeah. So so the first step, of course, is to just introduce yourself. But how do you continue this interaction? Now, when someone reaches out to me, I know they have an agenda. They know that I know that they have an agenda. That being said, people reach out mostly, for say securing an interview at a residency program. But don't keep the whole basis of this relationship as someone who's going to give you an interview, because you want to actually be seeking someone as a coach or seeking someone as a mentor and someone you want to have a longer relationship with. Now, say Sai reached out to me, for instance. He did not. I didn't know Sai before yesterday, but say he reached out to me for an interview at my program, and I was not able to get him that. There are a lot of things. I'm just an internal medicine resident. If you look at the pyramid, I'm at the base. People recommending people for interviews up, especially in larger programs. So in my program, there are around 100 residents, internal medicine and medpeds and prelims. Above us, you'll have faculty and attendings, and then you'll have program leadership. So I'm at the base of the pyramid. And if 100 residents suggest even one name each, then you have attendings, and then you have the leadership. Everyone suggests one name each. They'll at least have to do 200 to 250 interviews, and they do only 60 interviews. Honestly, it's not in our hands. But even if you're not able to secure an interview from a conversation, remember, don't burn the bridges. So Sai, if you reached out to me, I was not able to, don't hate me for that. What you want to do is seek mentorship, because apart from interview, there are many things in this USMLE journey which are going to be new for you, whether it's moving to the United States, right from your J1 or H1B visa, getting an apartment, leasing a car. Things will keep coming up. I still reach out to my seniors who have a lot of experience just because they're staying here and they've already dealt with these issues. So don't burn those bridges, be persistent. And I have this habit. I don't know if you guys will find it useful, but make notes. For instance, if I pick up any one of you, 110 people who are here, and ask you to give me 10 points from Sai Kumar's conversation which stuck on to you, maybe at the end of this call, you'll be able to give me 10 points. If I ask you tomorrow morning, maybe you'll give me 5 points. But 1 week later, when I ask you, you'll be like, yeah, there was this guy. He was speaking first. After that, there was another guy. He was a resident. He was talking something. But objectively, what did you gain from this? What did you learn from this? You may not be able to recall. It's the human mind. You have to study for your steps, and you have other things to deal with. So I prefer just making notes, because say I reach out to someone, they give me some suggestions. 1 month later, I reach out to them, and they're like, "Did you do this?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, they told me to do this." So get into that habit maybe of being organized. That can go a long way. Go ahead, Sai.
Yeah.
Okay. Any one of the other members on the call, apart from Sai and Shanti, do you recognize what this is? In the sense, hint, hint, it's a social media platform.
Twitter.
Twitter, awesome.
Awesome.
Sai. Yeah. Next slide, please. So, Twitter. Now, let me give you a disclaimer. I joined Twitter just last year, and I was like, damn, why didn't I join it earlier? So, a lot of importance to Twitter in today's day and age. I know we focus more on LinkedIn, or even when I was applying to residency, I did not have a Twitter account. But after getting in here, I realized Twitter is very important. Almost all the internal medicine residency or residency programs have their own Twitter handle. All the major societies in the US, so whether it's say for example GI, ACG, ASLD, all of them have their Twitter handles, conferences, journals. So what can you gain from Twitter? Shanti, I'm going to bring you back. Why do you think Twitter is important? I mean, you already have LinkedIn, you have your ERAS CV. Is Twitter significantly associated with matching? I don't know. Maybe Shanti is not here. Okay, Sai, since
I am
you.
here, sir. I am here.
Okay, we'll ask Sai since he recognized Twitter. Sai, what do you think? I mean, why do you think Twitter is important? Is it actually important?
Yeah, because like
So
each
okay.
residency program has. Oh, sorry, was it for sir or me?
No, go ahead,
No,
Sai.
no, go ahead. I
Oh
think
yeah,
he's a good
Sai.
person to
Yeah, Sai
I
Sri
mean,
Hari. Yeah,
Srihari. Yeah.
So I see like every residency program has a Twitter handle, and they all keep posting what's happening in their residency program, like what opportunities come up. They have even separate divisions for research opportunities, for volunteering and everything. So we can get more acquainted with what a particular program is, and it can help us building connections if we reach out to them. Because even program directors are active on Twitter. Most of the US people are active on Twitter, so
yeah,
that is how it can help.
Exactly.
100%
So
agree.
if I can add
Yeah,
here, Anna, so I'm a huge advocate for this. I keep telling people always use Twitter. I mean, people always tell use LinkedIn, but I feel LinkedIn is more. I mean, most of the time it's managed by some other persons or some other agencies for the big shot people. But Twitter, at least for medical attendings or medical related people, they all use on a personal note. So hashtag #MedTwitter, hashtag #NeuroTwitter, it really helped me out personally. I got like 2 or 3 research opportunities. If I don't match the last, I mean, for this season, I thought I would use those opportunities to get a research assistant position or something. It's all again through contacting. I reached out to a few people, and as you were telling, don't burn the bridges if they're not offering interviews. Some of the contacts I got through Twitter or some connections I made, they helped me. They were reviewing my personal statement. They were reviewing my ERA CV. They're all from US med schools. They are attending now. So even though I was not comfortable asking them for a reference or offering. I mean, asking them for a interview opportunity. I reached out and asked if they could review my personal statement and ERA CV. So there are a lot of other ways as well we can use those connections, not just for interviews. So that's what I wanted to bring that up.
yeah, perfect, Sai. It's going to go a long way, and it's not really popular maybe amongst us Indian students, but something that's catching up. So goals, I would say, staying up to date. So the thing with Twitter is you have a 140 character limit, and when it's 140 characters, you have to be really concise. So I see a lot of these guideline updates and hashtag met Twitter, like you mentioned, Sai. All these things put out a lot of new information in a really concise way. So instead of scrolling Instagram reels, I started scrolling Twitter now. It's going to be helpful. Networking, Sai, you already brought this up and mentioned how you can reach out to people. One thing here is I know in India, like for example, if there's an issue in your train seat or train ticket, people tag the railways and put a tweet out and it's sorted. Don't do the same here. Don't tag program director in your tweet and say, please give me an interview. Last year this had happened. Okay, so people actually tried to reach out to program directors. That may actually do more harm than good. But at the same time, like Sri Hari mentioned, you'll get a good idea of what's happening in residency life. Not only Twitter, but if you want to see what people are doing for wellness or what fun things they're doing at their program, Instagram is also a good place. but Twitter is more professional, and you'll know about research opportunities or what research those residents are doing and stuff like that. And then the next point I mentioned is disseminating your work. So for instance, say you presented at Aegis. I'm not saying Usmle, I'm saying Aegis now, Team Gandhi. But say you're presenting at a local conference, just take a picture, put your tweet up there. Um, and you want to tell them, I mean, when someone's looking at your tweet, of course they know you're doing it to show what you have done, but just instead of having a picture there, I would actually give a few points about what my poster was. So coming out of that, when person is putting those 30 seconds into reading your tweet, he learns something. So whatever the take home is from your poster, maybe one or two liner about that, but at the same time you're also showing people that you're actively working. And then inspiration. So when I say inspiration, just by looking at other people's work and stuff, you get motivated to do certain things, or you read about certain things which you feel you can do, or pursue it further. But keep it professional. So in the chat, we had a question from Katniss about starting a new professional. So I wanted to ask Katniss, if you're available here right now, do you want to take a dig at what a professional Twitter account would mean, and what those two-liners or three-liners up in the biography should include?
Okay, so probably the medical college and which math cycle I plan to apply to, which specialty I plan to apply to. And the reason I asked was because I do have an informal one, but it's mostly for shit posting. So
Yeah, and it's completely all right if you make another parallel one and sort of hide this informal one when you're going into your math season, because I've heard that people do, look up social media when they're background profiling you, so you don't want any red flags there. At the same time, have a parallel formal account. So Sai, if you go back to the previous slide, I think you'll see like what you want on your Twitter handle. For example, this is mine. So I said internal medicine PGY2. So my current affiliation, alumni of Gandhi, so sort of past and then future. GI match, I'm applying for the GI fellowship. This, if you ask me what content you want on a professional account, if you can move ahead, Sai, again to the next slide. You want to share and retweet things that are aligned to your goals. So for instance, if I'm someone going into GI, I'm going to post things coming up in the GI field, whether it's new updates or support my colleagues. When I talk about supporting colleagues on Twitter, not only should you be like only putting your tweets out there, but say you have a friend who got a recent publication, retweet his tweet. That way, you're supporting everyone and comment and interact. So what are the stages when you join Twitter? This is how it started for me. The first thing was just liking others' posts. Then I got a little more confident, started retweeting, and then after that retweeting with a comment. These terminology we were not really familiar with them, so the more you use, you'll see it's easier. It was pretty confusing when I first got the app too. So like retweet with the comment where you add a sort of caption or give your perspective to what you're retweeting. And then finally stage 4 is when you actually put your own tweet out there. So I hope coming out of this conversation, all of you get motivated, join Twitter, follow people who you think are aligned with your goals and may help you. All right, next. And so I'm not just bluffing. There's an actual article published in the American Journal of Gastroenterology. It's called Impact of Twitter and Why You Should Do It. If you guys have a chance to read this article, read it. If you don't have access to this article, let me know. I can share the PDF with you. It was published 3 years ago. Next. So it's never too late. You can still join Twitter. Okay. Yeah. Next. Let me actually go through these slides quicker. As I finish the slides, so I'll just talk about all these things. So the first thing when you're making collaborations is introducing yourself and the work you have done. That's why your elevator pitch is important. So try to impress upon the other person who you are, what your goals are. Number 2 is be honest and bite what you can chew. So say you're someone who has never done anything in the past, just openly tell them, hey, this is my first time with research. Can you just help me or guide me? And I'm willing to learn. So have that attitude to learn and be frank about things. Now, if you have never done something before, someone comes up to you, offers you some research opportunity, it's systematic review or meta-analysis. and you just, okay, I'll do it, and then you don't know what to do, and then the person reaches out to you again, and this time you sort of feel guilty, you don't reply to them. So avoid that kind of situation. That being said, I want to take advantage of today's meet and tell all of you that research sort of seems something exclusive. This is a feeling that even I had when I started out. I'm someone who came with no research experience, and I know they've had previous webinars where they've spoken about the importance of research in the sense of J1 research and stuff like that. So I did not do all that. So when I came in, I did not have any formal research training or prior real research experience. But over the last 1.5 years, I've tried to do what I could. I feel research seems sort of exclusive. It should be more easily accessible. There are certain tools that you can equip yourself to do research from wherever you are. And when I talk about that, it is research with big database or things like systematic review and meta-analysis. These tools can be utilized efficiently to make publications and get good number of citations. Whoever is interested in utilizing these tools, feel free to reach out to me. I'll give you my contact information at the end of our presentation. But there are a lot of opportunities out there. Just make sure you strengthen yourself with the right tools so that you can go out and do what you want to do. So just finishing up this slide, I want you all to think of being a team player and don't step on others' toes. We are all inherently competitive, but especially when it comes to research, it is more of a collaborative or a team effort. So don't try to outperform someone. Do what you're doing, but do the best in what you're doing. Choose your research mentors early, and even mentors in on this journey. Choose them early. So if you find someone who you feel you can trust, try to get information from them. If you experience sort of difficulty and you want to know what you can be doing, reach out to them. And like, for instance, I'm sure Sai would be happy to help you all if you had any trouble, say about electives, just because he's gone through the process recently. Similarly, if you had any questions about research, I'll be happy to help. But we are just people, also in the same journey. When I say mentors, there are these are people who are, say, sort of at a future stage. Maybe I already attending, so we've gone through the same J1 process or the same IMG process. Everyone will provide a different perspective. People who just matched like Sai may, they have some valuable information about how to apply for the match. Someone like me who's already matched can give you some information about life in the US and what you can do to deal with circumstances in the US. And someone like an attending can give you another bird's eye picture. So choose your mentors. If you want to apply for a fellowship, and it's okay if you don't know what you want to do, but if you have some goal in mind, I would say start off early. And one of the advice I give people who reach out to me is to target abstracts and conferences. I'm not kidding you when I tell you that I see medical students from India at international and national conferences in the US, such as ACG and DDW. These are GI conferences, and these are people who are in their internship, or who have not matched into residency, but presenting posters and abstracts there. So it is possible, and if you guys know this concept, I think you'll start working towards it or finding out more about it. And of course, we'll speak about it too later. Reach out to me if you have any questions. Sai, looks like you want to say something.
Yeah, just to add to that, because this conference thing came up. So if a medical student or someone is going for electives, plan such a way that if there's a conference happening, like if for a neurology AAN conference is very big. So if the AAN conference is happening somewhere in May, I would suggest you plan your electives between April and June, so that you get at least the chance to attend the conference. And for neurology, at least if you attend one AAN conference, you might meet at least 4 to 5 program directors, which is really huge, and will help you find mentors, present abstract. I mean, submit your abstract, present poster. So yeah, just plan in such a way that you attend at least one conference, and you can have that on your CV. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, this idea I would have never thought of, because as a medical student, for me, yeah, different priorities. But now, since I mentioned people are actually doing this, so give it some thought. Okay, next slide.
Yeah.
Anyone recognize this screenshot? Any takers from the audience, guys? Do you want to guess what this is? Okay, Sai, you must have seen this before. What is this?
So this is the ultimatum or the final step, or this is what you've been working for all for the last 2 years, 3 years. So the ERAS application, you upload everything here, your medical MSPE, your USMLE scores, your CV, everything about your personal information. So this is the actual match application.
Yeah, I got this screenshot from Google. It said 2019. I cut it and said 2023, 2024 for all of you. But this is going to be your stop. This is going to be what you are all working towards. So I thought better to show you. Always good, to work backwards. In the sense, know what you're heading into and plan for that. Next slide. The reason I brought this up is because finish this. There are certain things on the ERA CV which we don't really work for but are important. So apart from your scores and work experiences, which includes say, your internship in India and even your rotations, there are other components. These include research experience, abstracts, presentations, publications, and volunteer experience. And these are legit subheadings on your ERA CV. So when these are subheadings, you have to fill them. And many a times, what we realize 1 week before applying, oh, there's something called volunteer experience. What do I fill in that? So to avoid that kind of a situation in the 11th hour, guys, download that ERAS worksheet. They have some templates online which show you what
Should
the
I bring that?
oh
I'll just
yeah,
bring that up. And
go ahead. So look at what those components are and try to plan. For people applying in September, you still have a couple of months. For people applying next year, you have a lot of time. Just by knowing what is needed, your brain will start thinking or planning towards things.
okay, this is not open. Okay, but anyway, so when you type out ERAS application worksheet and you find few PDFs here, so this is the PDF you want to download and see which or columns or which sections you're lagging behind and try to work on those sections. So yeah.
Okay. So now again, I want to get someone from the audience involved. Let's go. Let's hold on here actually on the previous slide. So guys, let's talk about something like volunteer experiences. Anyone from the audience wants to comment about the average number of volunteer experiences which are seen in a person who is matched into internal medicine in 2022? What are the average number of volunteer experiences they have mentioned in their CV? Dinesh says 4. Okay. 6 to 8. Okay. Or more. Wow. Okay. Let's move on to the next slide. 4.5. Now, this person seems very precise. Let's go back to one slide. So guys, whatever I'm talking now is pure data, which is available out there. The NRMP, who basically is the daddy of the match, they have their PDF. This is around 300 pages, 294 pages, which tell you one or two power, and this one is for you. They tell about the average number for every experience. Let's go to the next slide. Guys, you may have to just zoom in and look at this. Click once again. Yeah. So let's just talk about this briefly. If you see, this is talking about your internal medicine, US IMGs versus non-US IMGs. All of us or most of us are going to be non-US IMGs. 2022, 2,000 people matched. Look at the column for the people who matched and the number of experiences. Now we're not going to talk about step scores. Mean number of research experiences 2.6. Mean number of abstracts, presentations, and publications 5.8. Work experiences 6.3. Volunteer 4.5. So, Nishita, you were spot on 4.5. So, and this is just the mean. So, you have people reporting more than 4.5 volunteer experiences, people reporting less than that. So, on this journey, you're going to come across people, you're going to ask them, hey, scores ఉన్నాయి రీసెర్చ్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఉంటుందా ఎంత చేయాలి అసలు అవసరమా రీసెర్చ్ there is factual data out there. Okay, the number of abstracts mean number was 5.8. Let's move to the next slide. So number of research projects of IMG. So There are two separate categories. One says research projects or research experiences, which is comparable to work experiences, like your internship. So they mean like research done in a lab and stuff. We rarely have access to that. But still, if you look at the people who matched, you can see like 468 reported one and 413 reported two. So people are reporting research projects. Next slide. Mean number of abstracts. If you see 740 out of the 2000 odd people who matched had 5 or more abstract presentation or publications on their CV. Next slide. Number of volunteer experiences. If you see around 4, the mean number was 4. So if you got 4, 333 people reported 4. So guys, these are big numbers. I want you all to think ahead of what you can include in this. Yeah, next slide. And click again, Sai. So I wanted to just compare 2022 versus 2018. 2022, we've already seen. If you click, you'll be able to pull up the 2018 statistics. Click again, Sai. No, go front. Click again. Yeah. So this is just a side-by-side comparison. So if you see compared to 2018, which is in sort of orange or red, whatever shade you want to call it. For example, if you look at volunteer experiences, gone up from 3.5 to 4.5. Number of abstracts, 4.6 to 5.6. So over the years, number of experiences being reported on CV is going up. If you're applying 2024, who knows? It may be 6.2, 6.4. Yeah. Next slide. Quickly touch base about researching programs. I'm not sure how many people on this call are actually those who have completed their steps and are applying this October. So I'll talk really briefly. You want to be organized, like I told you guys earlier. Making notes is important, but even when you're researching programs, and this is something you'll probably do after you take that ERAS token in July, make a spreadsheet. If you guys are a group of friends applying together, maybe divide the programs geographically and look into them. How do you identify programs? These are the tools, FREDA and Residency Explorer. The link is on that. So you can actually stratify programs based off state, based on visa sponsorship and stuff like that. So for instance, I can see which programs in Missouri offer J1 visa, make a list of them. Once I identify those programs, I actually look into each program individually, go to the program website. When you go to the program website, you want to see what are the chunk of their residents, where do they get their residents from, and do you think you are someone who they may take. I may look at Ivy League college and be like, okay, I may get Harvard, Mayo, let me see. And then when I look in, say Harvard, I see, oh, there is no one from India, there's no IMG. This is very far-fetched, but every program you'll get a good idea if you look at their website about a possible match for you and whether you think they'll pick you up. Yeah, next. So yeah, finally, guys, my bhashan is over. We'll run through this slide. I think couple more points on this. So start early, spread your network wide. Okay, don't hesitate. Friends of friends of friends of friends also. Use appropriate verbiage. Things like sir and ma'am, which we're used to, which is more like the British English. They don't do that. They go by doctor last name. Residents and fellows, they address just on a first name basis. And then even in the attendings I've observed, say someone is an attending who just started, who graduated 3 years ago and is attending, working for 3 years. He's going to refer to the program director who's been there for 30 years by first name. So it is hard for us, but that's how they do it. So there is no sir, there is no ma'am. Just go by your first name basis. Do your homework before reaching out. Remember how I mixed up UMKC, KUMC. Don't do that. Don't burn bridges. Sai also emphasized on this. He got some experiences, sounds like, just by keeping in touch with people. Interview, of course, is the end goal, but not all. No, it's not everything. You still need people to help you with a lot of things. So don't burn bridges. Aim for honest collaborations. Have that attitude to learn, and if you want to do something but you don't know what to do, just put that out there and there'll be people. Not everyone will have the time to invest to teach you things, but at least they can guide you as to how you can equip yourself. And then application components, I told you guys, research experiences, you saw the numbers yourself, the NRMP data. Be organized, make notes for your interactions. So yeah, so that 1 month from today, when you look back, you know what you learned from this meeting or this presentation today. And then, of course, yeah, guys, make a Twitter account. Next slide. Yeah, I think this is something. There was a question in the chat, Rachna Reddy, inputs for graduates. We'll talk about this, but remember one thing, it's never too late. Next slide. Yeah, some pictures from Kansas City. That's where I am, and I think I'll put. Sai is also going to move into Kansas City. Sai,
Exactly.
so funny. Yeah, and then if you just click again, I think my email and Twitter handle will come out. You guys, we'll take some questions now. I think. Sai, click again once more. Yeah. So I think we're open to questions now. I may take some questions, Sai, and then we can also talk about inputs for graduates who started this journey.
Okay. So Dr. Saketh is here for the next presentation. Dr. Saketh Annam. So do you think we should do the Q&A now, or keep
We
it to
can
the end?
do everything in the end or
Yeah,
whatever.
let's do the Q&A and complete this for all.
Okay.
Okay. Because Dr. Saketh Annam will be talking more about research. So
Okay.
yours is complete different area. So
Yeah.
So guys, if you have any questions, I think you are. So again, please feel free to turn on your mic and ask. But if you don't feel comfortable, use your chat box. But we'd be happy if this is more interactive and you come up with questions and speak up. This is all for you. So shoot your questions if you have any.
Yeah, I'll also try addressing them on the go. So, Rachna, for graduates, my only thing is every program has its own criteria of taking people. I know some programs don't like taking people who have graduated more than 1 or 2 years ago. At the same time, there are certain programs who take people who graduated long time ago. So do your homework properly, and definitely you will find a niche of programs that takes graduates. I don't know your case exactly, but it is definitely possible. In my program, for instance, they take a lot of people who've done residency in their home country, who've done PG and stuff. So every program has their own criteria, and it's not a dead end. You'll find a lot of opportunities. Volunteer experiences before match season. Krishnaveni, it's not something like mandatory that you should have 5 or 6, but you're seeing those numbers. That being said, don't bluff things on your CV because they can really easily catch you. You're going to be expected to speak anything on your CV. They may ask you to talk about. So whatever you're doing, do it honestly, even if it's 2 or 3 things. They generally want to see what your contribution or what your impact is. So even if you do a couple of experiences, make sure you invest yourself in those. Yeah. I'll let Sai talk about the elective questions. Anything else related to, say, networking or your ERAS application? Okay, Sai, I think I can hand over to Saket.
Hello.
Yeah, hey.
Can I speak up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, uh, Initially, I wanted to thank you for the insightful advices that you have given, Dr. Jahagirdar. I'm Famida, a 2K16 batch from Gandhi Medical College, your junior.
Hi,
So I
Famida.
just, yeah, hi. Sir. So I just wanted to know more about the volunteer experiences. Should they be involved in the medical areas, or can they be okay if it is extracurricular or the extracurricular things? Thank
That's
you.
a good question, Samida. Looks like you're practicing your elevator pitch also. So the thing is, of course, you want to show that you're utilizing your skills as a medical student in something that is improving the society, and you're not getting any sort of payment for it. So anything medical related would be good. But at the same time, if it is something else, it's completely okay, I think. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Jahagirdar.
Sai, you're muted, I think.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I see a question about clerkships from university through a third-party agency make your CV weak. So again, these third-party agencies, they try to sound cool and tell you that this is coming from a university-based university-based clerkship, but again, it's all going to be outpatient. But if you know personally someone who has done that elective there, and you know that the students who are going there are actually rotating in the university rather than an outpatient setting, I think you can go for that elective, and it would never weaken your CV. Nothing is going to weaken your CV. So it's all upscale. Like if you do follow that algorithm I was referring to before, if you have a chance to do one at a elective at a university, that's better. But if you don't have anything, third party agency outpatient clinic is also okay. But nothing is going to weaken your CV. If you get a better chance, go for the better one, because you get a better chance of matching and probably more reliable LOR, I would say. Any other questions? If our college dean principal isn't signing off on the elective application, do we have any other option? Okay. So I don't think we need a signature or anything from our principal. Some programs or some programs might ask for a dean's letter, but I don't think all the programs require the dean's letter from the principal. It's very atypical, I guess. If the principal is not allowing, I don't think there's much to do from a student's side. Yeah. Okay, I think those are the questions. Step 2, preparation. There are other questions we can take at the end for the Q&A session. We have a lot more time for that. MSP match application, but for now I think it's better to start with Dr. Annam's presentation about research, because it's too late. So after the presentation, if you guys have any questions, I know it's late, but you can stay on. We are going to stay on and we can answer all your questions, but people who are there here, we don't want to waste their time, so we'll start with the presentation.
Okay, I will start sharing the screen. Just to give you a brief introduction about myself, just let me know, guys, if you see my screen.
Yep.
1 second. Do you see it now?
Not yet.
Okay, might not have go to system. Okay, can someone share the screen? Looks like I need to enable. Yeah, it's not allowing me to share.
Host.
Do you guys have the presentation?
Okay, I have it now. I'll just need 2 or 3 minutes, so I'll email and open it for you.
Before that, I would like to thank Dr. Vinay for such a very informative and interactive session. Personally, I had a lot to learn from this, and I hope the same is for our audience as well. And
I'm glad you guys liked it. And yeah, I think when you come across people in the USMLE journey, you'll see everyone has a unique story. I don't know Saketh, but I'm looking forward to hear his experience. Everyone's going to have different journey. So reach out to whoever you can, learn whatever you can from everyone. And if you need to make notes, but that may be the only way you remember certain things. But good luck to all of you for this. Yeah.
And we have Dr. Saketh Annam here. He is a graduate from Usmle Medical College, and he is an incoming PG-Y1 neurology resident at University of West Virginia School of Medicine. Hello, sir.
Thank you, Shanti, for the introduction, and thank you, Sai, for organizing this conference and like a meeting and trying to help out the medical students. I wish like I had this kind of guidance and like the webinars when I was as a student and when I graduated. When like I never had this kind of resources or like helpful seniors who were trying to like help us applicants. So I guess you guys are all lucky, and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, the whole idea is the same now. So we had that problem, so I thought we would help our juniors with the same, with whatever we could.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a minute. So I'll start sharing the screen. Okay. Just a minute. Can you see the presentation of the slides?
Yes, I can see it now.
Okay. Can you see it, Shanti? When you're in.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Let me know if I'm being cut off or if I'm not being audible, guys. Okay. So today I'll be talking about research in USMLE. So first of all, like research has always been an important aspect of your ERAS application, and now that step one being pass or fail, step two CK is the only quantitative way of assessing an applicant's competitiveness. So there is a lot of emphasis on other qualitative aspects in your CV, and research is one of such important factor which all of us have to develop and work on our application in our ERAS application. So in order to justify that, let's look into the data from last year math statistics. This is the data from across all subspecialties before step one went pass or fail. So if you look at the current year's math statistics, the number might be a little bit higher. So if you look at the ones highlighted in red, so these are the average number of publications or abstracts. So they, on an average, every match non-US IMG had publications anywhere between 6 to 10, and it depends on which specialty they have matched into. For example, in internal medicine, it was about 5, and less in family medicine, about 4. And it's a little bit higher when you go to a competitive specialties like general surgery, which is as high as 19. And let's go to next slide. And other specialties like radiology, which has about 17, and neurosurgery about 74. So when you look at these numbers, like it can be really intimidating, because and here the gray area is that the NRMP doesn't differentiate between like how many of these are actual publications which are published in PubMed. So these include abstracts or say poster presentations, oral presentations, letter to editors, book chapters. So everything is included in this number. So when you look at the number 74, that is an like that is like an outlier, like which even not even most of the faculty will be able to achieve that number by the time like 10 or 20 years into the practice. So just don't worry about it, as long as you have say at least 3 or 4 publications, and the rest being case reports or oral or poster presentations, that should be fine. So if you ask me, applying to match without having any research experience or leaving the publication sections empty is no different than applying without any clinical experience or with only 2 letters of recommendation. So try to publish anything, at least it can be anything, case reports or case series. Anything is better than nothing. So research is very important. So let's go to the next slide. So why do research at all? So what is this research? So research is done to bridge the existing knowledge gaps in the current medicine, which will in turn contribute to the evidence in the medicine, which will define the way you practice on the clinical side. So for example, say in the US, you are in the bedside, you're seeing patients, and you have a clinical question. You don't go back to review textbooks like Harrison, or so what you do is you review the publication, you review the online portals like UpToDate or Medscape, and then you learn from that. So what programs, when the programs are looking for your research experience, what they are assessing is whether this student will be able to say assess, analyze, interpret, and appreciate the research studies. And it's also required by the ACHGME by the time you graduate that every resident should be able to independently develop a research project and complete it. So that is what programs are looking for, but they're not looking for like how many publications you have or like how, like in which journals they are published in. So research can also be a point of discussion or elevator pitch in your residency interviews. So again, you should be careful in to which kind of programs you're pitching your research as your elevator pitch, because you don't want to go to a small community programs where everyone is going to private practice and boast about your research profile. So be mindful on against to which programs you are talking about your research. And research is also a way to professionally network, just like how Vinay was talking about. You can research is like a common ground for you to connect with other professionals like residents or attendings. You can discuss your ideas with them, and then that is how you develop your network and how you continue to collaborate with them. Research is also required when you're aiming for competitive specialties like neurosurgery or orthopedics or general surgery, and fellowships like cardio and gastro. Over a long shot, having a good research profile will also be will make you eligible to apply to a green card in a different category, which through which you can get a green card within like let's say 1 to 2 years, unlike the traditional pathway, which is the EB2, which has like 10 right now about 10 years of waiting period for us Indians. So research is always helpful, and it's everyone should try to gain some kind of research experience. Okay, now let's go to the next slide. Okay, now that we have learned about the importance of research, let's go through the different types of research studies that are done in the US or that are available, and what are the types of studies that you can be involved as a medical student. So there are three different types of research: basic science. On a spectrum, we have the basic science on one end. On the other end, we have the clinical research. So basic science is about understanding the fundamental mechanisms or disease pathophysiology at the cellular or molecular level. Whereas the clinical research, we are all familiar about, like the if you have taken step on its case control, cross-sectional, statistical reviews, meta-analysis, and case reports. In between, we have the translational research, which is like a bridge between these two. The main aim of this translational research is to translate the findings or discoveries from basic science research to be adapted towards the clinical side. So it involves research like testing or developing new treatments, developing newer diagnostic methods of testing, say newer vaccines. Let's go to next slide. So the basic science and translational research, you should be careful when you're getting into them, because when you're applying for research positions, say just by cold emailing them or trying to reach out to the faculty, these are the most positions you'll be offered, because they don't have a lot of people who are working in these positions, and it's easier to get into these positions. So these positions are only available in big university hospitals, because they require a lot of funding from the NIH or the university, and this research is very time consuming. You won't be able to get as many publications, and once you go into residency, you won't be able to continue this research in future. So if only go into this kind of research if you are interested in pursuing research as a career, if you want, and that you wanted to settle in an academic setting, doing research and clinical practice simultaneously. Let's go to the next slide. So the clinical research. So this is the research which we should be focused on, and so it's broadly categorized into two types: the original research and non-original research. So the ones highlighted in the green are the ones which you can be involved as a medical student, and you don't need to be in the US. You can do it anywhere, from anywhere. You don't need anyone's permission, like you don't need any IRB approval. So let's go through a non-original research. Things like case reports, case series, letter to editor, book chapters. So this is the research where you do not have a research question, and you don't employ any kind of research methodology. So this is just like description, and this doesn't contribute to any evidence in the current current evidence-based medicine. Whereas circling back to the original research, you have observational and interventional studies. Observational studies, let's skip the case control, cohort, and cross-sectional. What you can be involved is literature review articles, systematic reviews, and meta-analysis. So if you look at the picture on the right, all the studies are arranged in the descending order of their significance of contribution to the evidence-based medicine. The ones on the top are systematic reviews and meta-analysis. This is the kind of research which is highly regarded, which will get you a lot of citations, because this is meta-analysis is kind of research where you pull the results from all the multiple studies, so that which will define the clinical practice guidelines. So, and this kind of study that also doesn't require you to be in the US, or you can do it remotely. All you need to do, you need to know is the research methodology and understand the different protocols, and learn about the statistical analysis. So in order to learn about all these research studies and methodology and statistical analysis, there are a lot of resources available online, not specifically geared towards IMGs, but there are a lot of resources geared towards PhD candidates, which we can learn from. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, now that we have learned about all the research studies, so
Hello, can you guys hear Dr. Saket, or is it me?
No, I think he's lost his connection.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
and we can
I'll
wait on
turn
this
off my
video.
video.
Yeah,
Can you hear
yeah,
me?
sure. Yeah.
Okay, I'll turn off. Okay, now that we have learned about
Your voice is cutting out again.
just give me, how about
Yeah.
now?
Clear,
Is it
better.
audible and clear?
Yeah.
Okay, stop me if you don't, if it's not, if I'm being cut off again.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay. So when should you start and how should you start about it? So research is definitely time taking. You will not be able to publish anything within the first month, or at least for a few months. This is a continuous learning process. So the earlier you start, the more time you will have to explore different kind of research, the more time you will have to learn the different skills, and the more you can publish. So one way you can go is by applying for research electives. Earlier, Sai Kumar was talking about in Johns Hopkins. And you should also make a habit to read about, say, start off with at least 1 to 2 quality original research articles from journals like NEJM, Lancet, or AHA, or Stroke, anything. Just learn how to interpret this research. See how did they develop the research question, which research methodology did they employ, and which statistical study did they choose to address that question. So that will give you an understanding of how research is done, and that will give you a head start to how to go. And then there are also, as I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of courses online on websites like Coursera and the research blogs. There are also a lot of videos on YouTube on how to on different research methodologies and different statistical analysis. And the best way to start is also collaborate with your reach out to your faculty and seniors. You never know, they might be having a lot of projects which they might be requiring help from, so just ask them. Also, just shoot random emails to attendings in the US. There are a lot of entry level, or say young career investigators like assistant professors who do not have funding for you to be able to sponsor J1 visa, so they will be happy to work with you remotely, and you can, that way also you can learn and gain experience from them. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so now that you have learned about some skills, how do you find a research position in the US? So most of these positions are located in big name universities like Mayo Clinic, Harvard, Johns Hopkins, Yale, and also focus on IMG friendly programs with research infrastructure or with research faculty, because it will be easier for you to match into that program, because you will be working with them for a long period of time. That way they will get to work with you closely, they will get to know you in person, they will know how good of an applicant you are. And also most of these positions are filled through connections. So for example, like when I matched and before I resigned from my position, my mentor asked me to recommend 2 or 3 candidates, because he was willing to trust and my judgment rather than him going through all the way, putting in all the effort trying to find the right candidate. So reach out to, it doesn't matter anyone, just reach out to friends of friends, your seniors, anyone from your college, any city, just shoot a random message or try to reach out to them. And also a good way to find is by reaching out to the faculty when you're doing your rotation as an elective. Talk to residents, they might have a lot of research projects but they don't have the time or people to work on, so reach out to the faculty in your rotation as well, and attend these conferences. Just now Vinay was talking about the conferences is the best way to network, to get interviews, to find research position. Conference is like one stop for everything. So you attend one conference, you can get anything you want. Like, but you should know how to network, how to approach a person, and how to interact with them. So you need to find a common ground in order to interact with them. So say it's very similar to dating. Say you're on a date, you don't want to be the only person who are telling about yourself. So you should be knowing something about them, ask their experience, learn about their experiences, then find a common ground, and then you should start discussing your ideas, learn about their ideas and how you can find or how you can extend your collaboration in future. So that will not only get you interviews for your residency, this will also help you for your fellowship applications. Social media, Twitter and LinkedIn, just now it was discussed. And the easiest way is to go through the university websites and job postings. Now a lot of websites have like a 6 month or 1 to 2 years of research fellowships where you can directly apply through their website. So these are some of the ways how you can find the research positions. Next slide, please. Okay, now you wanted to find a research position, but you don't have an experience. So what should you do about it? So try to learn some skills. So how do you know what are those skills? Go look through the job postings, see through the eligibility criteria and requirements. What are the skills they have advertised? Try to learn those skills, and then while as you're learning those skills through online or videos, then you keep emailing the professors. Be honest, never lie that you know something, even though just because you wanted to get that opportunity. So draft a great cover letter and write a strong personalized email. Your email should mention so why you're reaching out to that person, why you're interested in his work. Try to mention publication or two of his that created an impact to the field, and also mention what are your goals and how working with him will take you one step to your goals. Also make sure to mention what are your skills, how you will be able to contribute to them. So this is how you will be getting a response. Just cold emailing, generalized emails will never get you a response. Maybe one or two good people, kind people will reply you back, but that will never get you a response. So when I found a research position, I emailed about like 50 to 60 faculty across different universities, and I got responses from about 15 faculties. Even though they replied that they did not have a position, they said that they were eager to work with me, and they would put me on like waitlist because they were already filled up. So attend the conferences again and be honest. There are a lot of people who are looking for any kind of help they can receive. So yeah, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so now you have done everything and you got like multiple opportunities. So how do you choose the right one? So anyway, you will be interviewing with all the opportunities you get, and what are the things to consider. So you should choose the opportunity which aligns with your goals. If you say if you're going to internal medicine, if your goal is to match into cardiology, and you are specifically interested in say atrial fibrillation. So if you find a mentor attending who is doing research in atrial fibrillation, go with that attending, because that is something of your research interest, and that is something which you wanted to pursue in your future. And also ask about their expectations, because you wanted to know what they're expecting from you, and you don't want to you don't want to be more or less qualified. And also ask if they have worked with any IMGs before and who have matched, because you want to make sure if working with if he is the right mentor or not for you. And also be clear about how the authorship is shared. Get to know about the research on ongoing research projects, and mostly all this research will be up for about say 6 months to 1 year, and some of them will also ask for say 2 years commitment. So just check if it's paid or unpaid, because it's very expensive to live in the US in cities like New York or Miami without being paid. And ask if they will support you to attend and present in the national conferences, and if there are any opportunities for you to be involved clinically. This can be either for research, like seeing patients as a part of clinical trial, consenting them, or this can also be just shadowing the physician if he is okay with it. And so these are the things to consider before signing up with a mentor for research. Next slide, please. Okay, research. Other question we have is research here versus masters in public health or clinical research. So if your goal is to match, you have to remember that any graduate degree is not going to help. Another thing is graduate degrees are expensive. It requires a lot of time commitment, and even while doing MPH or clinical research masters, you are expected to do at least 1 or 2 research projects by the time you graduate. So if you cannot do those research, and if you're doing it in a small place where the university is not affiliated to any hospital, or you don't have any opportunities to work with the faculty who is doing clinical research, then that graduate degree will be of very little help for you. In top of that, it's very expensive. So if you should be doing the other graduate degree, if your goal is to be a clinician scientist, or if you wanted to be someone who sits at the top national level, who will frame the guidelines of clinical practice, and if you want to be a national PI you want to conduct a design and conduct the national wide conduct clinical trials, and if you wanted to go towards the career in industry where you can be a expert physician, where you can advise the pharmaceutical companies. So this is for you if you wanted to, if this is your career goal. But if your goal is to just match, try to skip this and try to sign up for research with a mentor. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. So what are the advantages of doing a research here if with your mentor? So as I mentioned before, you can develop strong connections with them, which will give you a strong LOR. And if the department or hospital where you're working is a little bit lenient, you can, and if your mentor is really good, he will also introduce you to other faculty in the department where you can rotate, collaborate, and push a lot more publications in that period, from which you can also get all your LORs for the match. You can also increase your chances of matching into the same program if your application is really strong, if you have great scores. It will also help you build a really strong application for your fellowship. To also give you a good understanding of the US healthcare system and the work culture in the US. So if yes. So finally, yeah. So finally, what are the things to remember and things you shouldn't be doing in your research here? So it is, and when should you when you're also applying for research here, there is no specific time period well as to when you should apply. So I see a lot of candidates who go for research once they are done with all the step exams. But throughout in my journey, I have come across candidates who, as soon as they graduated, came to the US for research. While doing research, they simultaneously completed their exams, did all the rotations, and built a very strong CV, which ultimately ended up position in that same program. So, but research can be very demanding. So you should be able to balance research and your education and your similar step exams. And you should also remember that not every project you work on will be completed, and not every completed project will be published. Sometimes the manuscript you submitted might be rejected by 10 journals before it's accepted by the 11th journal, and this whole process might take anywhere between like at least a year or more. So be patient. Research is time taking, but it's definitely rewarding. And what matters is the quality of your research and which journal you're publishing, rather than the number of publications you have. Say if you have 10 or 15 publications or case reports in Curious Journal, it doesn't hold much value. Where you, if you have one publication in like Stroke Journal or AHA Journal. So remember, quality always trumps over quality, and never ever pay to get your name on any publications, because a lot of faculty are aware about these tactics, and they will definitely ask you about this research in your interview. And if you are not able to answer this question, answer about it, they will definitely identify that. And if it won't look bad on your, it won't look good on your application. And also try to avoid companies or agencies which sell research relatives or publications. So these are the predatory companies which will squeeze the money out of you, and just stay away from it. And also, just because you're being accepted by every physician, don't tend to involve yourself in multiple projects and thereby ending up not completing any project. So only get yourselves involved in your specialty of interest and your topic of interest. And if you think you cannot do something, just let it go. And also, don't publish all your research public articles in just one journal, because it's easy to publish and they are accepting all your publications. You should try to push your boundaries with every publication, and try to aim for a different journal with higher impact factor with every publication you submit, and never plagiarize or falsify any research. because this is a huge red flag. If you are caught doing this, you will be blacklisted and you will be banned from publishing. So these are the things that you should remember before about the research, and this is how you should get a research things to do. You should get a research position. Thank you. Next slide. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
I have one question, Dr. Annam. How
Yeah.
important is it to be a fan of The Office to actually get into research?
It's not required, but just a sense of humor is.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm obviously kidding.
Yeah, I know. I understand.
Okay, lot to learn even for us. So, we have come to the end of this uh, talk by Dr. Saketh Annam. So if you have any questions pertaining to research, I know you guys have lots and lots of questions related to research. Even I have some questions. I'll bring that up as well. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand. That way it will be more interactive and clear to even ask and get it answered as well. If you are ready to take questions, we'll start with Dr. Siddharth. He has a question.
Yes,
Yeah,
please
hi.
go.
So one small question. The numbers are definitely scary. The average number being 5.8 research abstracts or publications or presentations or whatever. And to my knowledge, any of my colleagues or any of my friends almost always have zero publications, especially in the big journals, right? So what would be the outcome? Because I know people who have also matched with like one or two research abstracts. They're not even like big papers. So what odds am I looking at?
Sorry, Siddharth, can you repeat the question? I was cut off.
I'm sorry. So basically the question I have is the average number of research articles, publications, or presentations is like 5.8 from the last year's NRMP match. And
Right.
that's a really huge number. And all of my
Mhm.
colleagues or any of my classmates I know are still at zero, and they're basically trying to apply in like 3 months.
Right.
So what are my odds going to look like? I know statistically they're obviously bad, but in the general scenario, I also know people who have matched with like one research article or zero research articles,
Right.
and they don't have
So,
two grade scores as well.
okay. So yeah, having research definitely help, but programs, when they are screening applications, they won't look at like, they will mostly be looking at the number of publications you have. But if you have great scores and other aspects of your CV are great, like you have strong LORs, you have a good work experiences, then you will be definitely be shortlisted for the interview. So it depends on what kind of application. Every program has a different criteria, and we can never know what's on program director's mind. So there are candidates who match with just one or two publications, but they will also have very strong LORs or great scores. So you just have to try to balance one with the other. If you have great scores, and you can also match with almost nil or one publication. And if you have, say, average scores, then you need to balance it with, say, at least one or two publications. So that's how, like, wherever you're lacking, you should try to balance it with the other components. So you can still match if you can get, let's say, strong LORs, or say other extracurricular activities in your CV, which can stand out in your application. But that, say, 5.8 is not absolutely mandatory.
All right, thanks.
Um, I see a question from Prav. Did term residency planning switch to IM for next month cycle? So if I get research position, am I allowed to do observership on work visa? Yes, you can do. It all depends on your mentor you're working with. If he's a good person, and he can allow you to rotate with him in the hospital, and he can also connect you with his colleagues with whom you can collaborate, do research, and even do rotations with them. Even the department of the in the university you're working should be okay for this. Um, any more questions?
Uh, okay, if nobody has any questions, I have something to ask. So I see a lot of applicants these days, they're trying to get into these groups where they are asking, I know, I don't want to name any, but there are certain LinkedIn pages or something, they are asking for $600, $500. And what they do is they try to bring these people together, form a group of 4 or 5 people, and there will be one mentor who is supposedly teaching them how to do clinical research. At the end of 2 or 3 months, they'll be having 1 or 2 publications on their name. So I mean, I was going to what you were telling, that you're not supposed, I mean, it's not advisable to join these groups, but since they're teaching how to do research as well, and these guys are involving in some part of it, do you think that's advisable, taking into consideration that IMGs have very little chance of getting, remote research opportunities or opportunity to work with on at least on a case report?
Yeah, that's kind of tricky. But if you don't have any other opportunity, and if that person who is teaching this research methodology is really good, and you can assess that by looking at his publications and which kind of journals he is published into. So that's, yeah, if you don't have any other option, just try to learn the research methods. But yeah, if yeah, only if you don't have an option.
I would want to add something to this. I see paying $600, $800 for a case report, definitely not worth it.
Yeah.
But if someone is teaching you some skills, there are ways out there to get certified for these skills, and at maybe a fraction of the cost through official channels, whether it's Coursera, whether it's a Hopkins course that you're taking on Coursera and stuff like that. Like Saket pointed out, the evidence pyramid, case reports, you're paying $600 there at the base. But then you have systematic reviews and meta-analysis. Doing that, at least I'm glad Saket brought it up and what it encompasses. But there are courses which you can learn, pay and learn how to do these, which will give you the necessary skill set. And I think, working with large databases and SRMA, these are the ways that will garner citations. Again, like Saket mentioned, the EB visa, these are the best ways compared to case reports. And then you guys are more than welcome to reach out to me, and I can sort of steer you in the right direction. But just by looking at the author list of an abstract or paper, Saket, I'm sure even you can tell how authentic it was. I mean, sometimes you can see like 20 institutions for abstract. Unless it's a clinical trial, it wouldn't be warranted. So end of the day, you want to do honest work, and be genuine instead of going through all these agencies. But sometimes, if you have to do certain things, I can't I can't comment on that. But yeah, I think there is a way out, and there are options, and there are people willing to help. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also easier to get the experience or learn the skills as a resident, because you will have a lot more opportunities to collaborate either within the department or across the specialty throughout the country. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for answering. I got this question from one of the applicant. He was telling that, so I don't have any other opportunities. There's nothing much to do in our college or hospital. I don't have any contacts in the US. And do you think this is something I can take on, by paying $500 for at least a review or a case report? I don't know what that is, but I thought it's quite tricky. So that's the reason I brought it up.
Definitely hard situation, and if this is a path that he sees can open doors for him in the future, then I would invest in it, because you need to crack it in some way. You have to start. So if this is the point at which he's going to start, he may have to do that. But that's not the dead end. They're probably going to just open up his future and give him more opportunities, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for answering that.
I have a question directed to Dr. Vinay. So, what would you say? I mean, this is obviously far-fetched, but how do I make it as a resident of the year? What etiquette does it take to, be that?
Hi Siddharth, just be yourself, be genuine, and be honest in whatever you're doing. People recognize things; they can easily, distinguish between who's genuine and who's not. It's simple, and I'm sure you do that too.
That's a very humble answer, but
No,
I'll take it.
because honesty is something that is really valued, especially in the United States. If you can do something, say you can do it and do it. If you can't do it, just say you can't do it. But don't take it on and then a couple of weeks down the line, ghost someone. So whatever it is, whether it's related to patient care, whether it's related to scholarly work, give like I said earlier, bite what you can chew. So just sign up for things that you can do. But remember, as an internal medicine resident, since you actually changed gears, maybe that would be a good idea for the next webinar, Sai, about people who already matched and what they should be doing before they start residency or in their first few months of residency. But prime thing is patient care. So say you're a researcher and you're writing an article for any JM, remember primarily you are internal medicine resident or neurology resident or you're a resident. So they don't care about what research you're doing. Their first priority for a program and the program leadership wants you to be a good physician, deal with patients well, deal with your colleagues well. So that should be your prime aim. On the side, whatever research you're doing is bonus. So just do your work honestly. So that if I don't know if this answer was helpful, but it's really straightforward, I would say.
Definitely, it's definitely more humbling, but yes, I'll keep at it. Thank you.
We'll make a note of it, Annam, for the next session.
Good evening. One question for me. Sorry for interruption, but good evening, Dr. Vinay. First of all, thank you for this wonderful informative session. And I would like to ask that volunteering to the core itself, like, it's not portraying that we are helping to people, like, but if we want to like get certificates from volunteering, what is the meaning of it? Like volunteering itself is like from the core, you have to help people and do whatever you want to do from heart. Like, what is the way of portraying that through your certificates? Like, I have done volunteering for like entire MBBS through an like a NGO organization. I don't have any certificates basically, but how can I portray that I have did volunteering?
Likita, thanks for bringing it up. This is something that I used to wonder too during my MBBS days, but this may be an important point for all of us. Certificates, no one cares about certificates in the US, especially when it comes to things like volunteer work. No one is going to ask you for your certificates. So if something is listed on your CV, a person reviewing your CV is going to believe everything you've written there. The only challenge is if you haven't done it and written it, and then when they ask you in your interview, and then you're blank because you didn't do it. So in your case, if this is something that you've been doing consistently, you don't need a certificate. You write it in your CV, it's going to come up. So say you want to bring it up yourself, you can steer the discussion towards that, and that is something else that can be discussed in terms of interview preparation about how you want to steer the conversation to where you want it to go. But say it's something major in your CV and they want to ask you about it, they'll ask you, and then you start talking, just proving that you committed your heart and soul towards that experience. So yeah, there are no certificates required in this journey. You have to just show and prove that you've done it to your narration. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you, Dr. Vinay.
Hello, good morning, Dr. Vinay and Dr. Saketh. Uh, First of all, I appreciate for your efforts. We are blessed that you are doing a lot of hard work for us. And so my question here is, presently I am doing my rotations uh, in here. I completed 2 rotations and I have another rotation next month. So in this, I am not able to read for my step 2. So I am planning to give it in October like that. So if I get ECFMG certified by the month of December, can I have any chance to match this season, to apply for programs this season?
You can go for it. Sorry. Saket, I'm happy to answer, but you guys can answer this as well. You guys were in this process more recently compared to me.
Yeah. So being an IMG, you are expected to be ECFMG certified by the time you submit your application. You can still submit your application, but the chances of you getting the interview will be less if your scores are, say, a little bit on the less than the higher, say average, or if you don't have strong LORs. So the chances of you getting the interview will be less. Again, this is not from all the programs. You might still get some interviews from, say, community programs, but if you want to maximize your chances of getting interviews from majority of the programs, you need to be ECFMG certified by the time you submit your application.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Dr. Saket.
Okay. If you don't have any questions, we have some from yesterday's Google Forms. I mean, something in general, nothing in specific for research. Okay, Siddharth, you can ask your question. I can read.
Yeah, I'm sorry to be pestering you guys about details, but this question is directed to Dr. Annam. So, is there any bias in journals? So last time I tried to publish an abstract, I came to know that American College of Cardiology was trying to push woman-centric abstract heavy, woman author heavy publications, or there was some other I don't know what do you want to call it, hustle or hassle about
Yeah.
uh, some authors getting more easy access to those publications, and it's from what I know, it's going on even in the big journals like American associations like AHA or ACC. So
Okay.
what's your take on that?
I don't think there will be ever in any kind of bias either in research or on the professional side, because this is pure discrimination in the daylight. So they would never openly encourage or go to any extent to do such sort of thing. Maybe I don't know who started this. Maybe their publication was rejected by the journal, but or some there might be some personal issues, but I don't think such kind of issues would ever happen at all. I don't know. Maybe Vinay can add something to it if add his personal opinion.
I mean, this is just social and political news at this point. So
Yeah, yeah. They would never do that. There is a lot of advocacy for women, like women in certain say women in cardiology or women in medicine. It's like they are advocating for women in specialties, but they won't be pushing only women's publications or research submitted by women. So it's all about quality. They don't look like who is the person submitting it or what is his gender. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with what you just said, Saket. I think, Siddharth, two things you want to keep in mind here. One thing is, in this world of where internet is available everywhere and people have access to getting articles. I know you always want to target a high impact factor journal, but even if you publish your article in something which is low impact factor, and it is open access, people can reach out to it, and if it's really something that is changing paradigm and changing things in your field, people are going to cite you regardless whether you publish in a high impact factor journal or low impact factor journal. But something similar to what you asked, remember one thing that when it comes to publishing, it's a different game compared to, say, putting an abstract out there. Actually, publishing, a lot of importance is given to who your PI is, your mentor, or your last author is. And their credibility is going to weigh a lot on your paper. So if it's someone you're working with is really big in the field of, say, like insulinomas, and you're writing a paper on insulinomas, journal is going to accept it, be like, okay, he's the god of insulinomas, he's a lead author on this paper, it will get accepted. But say you do something on insulinomas, and maybe someone is a PI who's not really well known in that field, you may have to cross way more obstacles to get that out in a big impact factor journal. I hope this is answering your question. maybe not
Yeah,
related
that's
direct.
pretty close to what I was trying to
Yeah,
ask.
so things are not always in your hands. Even if you have a really great article, you need to have a strong PI to get something published in a big impact factor journal, I would say. Yeah.
I have another question directed to both of you. So many people come up and say like, so I graduated 1 year ago, and only after graduation I decided to move to United States. And what is the ideal way of dealing with the year of graduation? There are two options. They were referring to again MPH and research assistant position, finding something. And if you don't find any, just sit for the exams. Tell them that you are working as a house officer in some hospital in India. So what do you think is the best one to choose? And I have something to add as well at the end. That's my opinion. But can you just talk about that a little bit? Year of graduation and application.
I can go first. So when you're talking about year of graduation, it's just to bridge your year of YOG. You don't have to do a graduate degree. You can do a lot more productive things like working clinically in your home country or doing research. You can also say that you honestly took a break to prepare for exams, but just make sure that it's not more than a year. You don't want to sit idle for more, like say for a long period of time doing nothing but preparing for exams. As long as it's a short period of time, you're preparing for exams and you are working clinically in your home country, and you are also simultaneously doing research. That's absolutely fine. You don't need to get a graduate degree for that to compensate for that.
Yeah, I think Saket answered this earlier also in his presentation, and there was a question from Rachna in the chat earlier about what can graduates do. So of course, I defer to Saket on answering what research options you can be pursuing or what graduate degree. But one thing I would like to draw attention back to is that every program is looking for different things. So certain programs, they prefer taking people who have graduated and who have work experience, because they know that these candidates are going to be strong clinically, and they're going to tackle whatever challenges they face on the floor. On the other hand, you have certain academic programs maybe who want to just increase research output, so they may take someone who has an MPH or who's already published a lot. So again, after personally my program, I see a lot of people around me who've completed residency in their home country. So again, these are people who can take up clinical challenges. They're better prepared than someone who has not worked clinically in their home country. So every program has, I would say, different expectations from the incoming residents, and it's never a dead end that if you've graduated in the past, it's going to be more challenging for you. No, you just have to find out which program takes someone with your skill, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with you all. So I was telling that person that doing MBH actually causes damage to your application, because you tend to end up not getting interviews from those community programs or small size university programs, because they might feel that, oh, this guy has MPH and he might go for bigger university programs where there is more resources to do public health studies and statistics and stuff. So I thought if you are really interested, I was telling, if you're really interested in doing that in the future, go for MPH, but otherwise do some research. That way you can tell them that I was doing research because I want to go into that fellowship eventually. That would make more sense rather than doing MPH just to cover up those year of graduation. Yeah, just want to bring that up because some people ask that question.
Yeah, correct, Sai. I think what you told is important. You have to look at what you want in life. So say you are someone who wants to do research and get NIH grants, work backwards. Okay, then you probably need to do that MPH and build that skill set and go into a program that does a lot of research. Say you're someone who wants to do clinical practice. It's completely fair. I mean, yeah, you want to be someone who is seeing patients every day, then you can be in a program that is more patient centric, and it's completely fair to do that. So in that case, if you work in a place in India where you're seeing a lot of patients, that's going to strengthen your application to go to a clinically oriented program which will equip you for your future. So it's all based off what you want to do, and there is no right or wrong.
Yeah.
I
So
have a question.
go ahead, Shanti.
I have a question for Dr. Annam. Sir, how should I ideally come up with a question or topic for my research with no prior experience, or what is the best way to start? Because most people, I think, they struggle with beginning their research journey, or they don't know where to start, what topic to choose, and they are like coming up with the question.
Yeah, that's a good question. So in order to come up with a research question, you need to be fully aware of the what is the current practice guidelines, where is the say deficiency in the clinical practice. So you are not expected to come up with a research question, but if you can, that is good, because you're trying to search something that is a different kind of skill set. But it don't be intimidated by that you have to come up with a research question. You will go through that process once you are seeing patients on the clinical side, once you gain more clinical experience, and once you have a lot of research experience, that will automatically come to you. But without a research experience, no one will expect you to come up with a research question.
And I wanted to ask, like, if I'm planning to apply for competitive fellowship in the future, would you suggest taking up a research year now itself before I join into probably a community program? Or do you think if I match into a community program, it is a better way to network and go for away rotations later on for a fellowship?
Okay.
I can take
Yes.
this.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if you okay, yeah, if I may ask you, which fellowship would you want to aim at, or just give me any fellowship and I'll make a case out of it.
Okay, I think I would be interested in a GI.
Okay, GI. So that being said, I think if you're in a program that doesn't do a lot of research, it is going to be hard to have a competitive application for GI. In the sense, you need to have publication in the GI field. Then you'll just end up scampering to get collaborations with people all across the US. When you want to collaborate with someone, like we mentioned earlier, you need to have some interest in that field and show that you've already done something. So that may be hard if you don't have a good place to start off. That being said, I see a lot of people who are currently pursuing GI in the sense in residency and they want to apply for GI. They've actually done J1 research at leading academic institutions, and their mentors and those collaborations that they made when they were in these academic institutions are still supporting them through their process. So be more frank about it. Like I see people who've done research at Mayo, and they're still in touch with their attendings from Mayo and are still churning out abstracts and publications with those attendings. So I mean, I didn't have that opportunity, but once again, it's like, say you do something very research heavy in your CV, like Sai pointed out, some programs may not offer you an interview just believing that, okay, this person probably wants to do a lot of research, we don't have research. But this is something, Shanti, I'm happy you're thinking ahead, because this is something that would help you make a decision. I hope that you would need to be in a program that supports your final aims.
Yeah. If I can add to that, so there are other factors you might want to consider before taking a research position, because most of the positions will be unpaid. So taking care of your own expenses for 1 year in US without getting pay is like too much for some people. So those are the factors you might want to consider. Personally, if you ask me that question even before applying, I would choose not to apply for research position before applying for at least one cycle. So you never know where you're going to match. Like, you do whatever you can before you apply for that cycle. Do whatever research you can, volunteer experiences, good scores, good application. Try your level best and see. If you are getting only interviews from community programs which are not intending to go match, you don't rank them. So if you have at least 2 or 3 university programs, you just rank them and leave the other community programs behind. If you match there, well and good. But if you don't match, so you have a lot of time. If you know your result on March 17th or 15th, you can start looking for research positions then and continue there for next 1 year, because that's what most people do. So I would suggest go for one cycle even without research position. And you can not, like Dr. Vinay is working on his GA application, you can always work on your application for fellowship later on your residency. That's my opinion.
I would also like to add something to this. So just because you took a research year will not guarantee you the publications. So because and you should also be careful while choosing the right mentor, because not every attending who is working in GI will churn out as many publications, even though they are working in big institutions like Mayo. So you should also put into a lot of effort to finding the right mentor, whether this is the right decision for you. So you should, it's very subjective, and you are the best person to make the decision.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think this also answers question from Sri Likita in the chat box. Is it good to apply for research positions while preparing for your step one?
So I must say that throughout in my USMLE journey, I have come across students who are fresh graduates. Right after the internship, they came to the US. So while doing research, they completed the step exams. They even did clinical rotations with the same attending and within the same department with other attendings, and they built a very strong ERA CV, and they matched it to a competitive program. So there is no specific order in how you should do things. It depends on how motivated you are and how much effort you're trying to put into it. So it's definitely demanding to study for step one while doing research, but if you think that you can do it, then you should go for it. But especially if you're aiming for competitive specialties like neurosurgery and orthopedics, research is very important, and it's best to jump into research as early as possible.
Hello guys, I'm Rahul. I have a question regarding personal statement to Dr. Vinay and Saketh. So recently, traditionally, I came to know that like in the beginning of the personal statement, we should write why you want to pursue medicine as a career. But recently, when I was talking to one of the chief externs here, he was like, the program directors who are interviewing us are not expecting us to write why you want to join medicine, because those students who already like finished in medical school, they have written like why you want to why they want to become a doctor in their pre-med like in their medical school journey before joining the medical school. So do you advise to write why you want to become a doctor in the beginning of the introduction of the personal statement? That's the number one question. The number two question is, and he also suggested to put personal statement in 600 words to fit in the era CV, like in the one paragraph. So like when I was starting personal statement, and also I shared my personal statement, Dr. Vinay also, it came to me around 800 to 900 words. So other thing here is I have come across many things in the Twitter also, that we should never tell them, we should always show them in the personal statement with examples. So if there is a cutoff limit of 600 words, I am unable to like put all the journey. I'm unable to share all my examples within the personal statement, and it comes to the incomplete personal statement according to my perspective. So what do you suggest about these two questions?
If I can start with this. Thanks, Rahul, for asking this question. Now, you won't believe, Rahul, I'm in the same situation as you. I'm applying for fellowship and I have to make my personal statement now. Saket probably crossed this bridge. He can relax now. But Saket, Sai Kumar, you guys are not done. If you want to apply for fellowship, you have to write personal statement. Again, this time you have to add stuff to your personal statement about what you did in residency. And like Rahul said, you want to show them. So it is challenging in terms of you asked a couple of questions, Rahul. I'll try to remember all of them. Number one is the length of the personal statement. Even right now people are suggesting it should be in one side, and not size 8 or size 6, standard size 10 or size 12. So that's going to be a real challenge. And you are right, like why you want to be in medicine is probably not the question at this stage. It's maybe why you want to be in internal medicine. And about telling people versus showing people, I don't know if you have this liberty, but sometimes there are certain experiences which can be narrated better through a letter of recommendation rather than your personal statement. Especially maybe when it comes to the residency stage, when you worked with attendings for months compared to when you are working with someone for a week or 2 weeks. When you work with someone for months, they can highlight a particular aspect which you want them to highlight. So say I worked on research with someone, they write it more research oriented, someone writes it more clinically oriented. But at the level of the residency application, I'll ask Sai and Sake to talk about. But I think same thing. They want it to be one side. Like you know what is required. How to implement it, I'll learn it from them also because they've done it recently. Go ahead, guys.
Okay, I'll answer this question by putting myself in the shoes of say movie director. So the personal statement you're writing is like you're trying to show your life story as a movie or on the paper. So answering your first question, it was, should you write about why you wanted to be a doctor in the first paragraph, right? So first paragraph is, it is the opening paragraph. So you wanted to be as much eye-catching and attractive as possible. Think of it like a trailer. So if it is not good, if the trailer is not good, no one is going to come to the movie. It doesn't matter like how good the songs are, how good the storyline is. So the opening paragraph should be as eye-catchy as possible. That should give an impression to the reader to make them want to read your personal statement through the end. So don't go for it. Try to think this will take a lot of time. Think about any stories that will be very catchy, anything that has a lot of significance in your life. So that should be your opening paragraph. And what should you write in your personal statement? It should be it I know you will have a lot of stories, but try to include only those one story or two stories which has created a lot of impact in your life, and that will be which will also be very interesting for them to read. You don't want to add multiple scenarios throughout, like say from your childhood through until now. So you wanted to add that one story which has created impact in you, which has changed the way who you are as a person. And you also wanted to include those skills which are specific to that specialty. So say for example, if you wanted to be a neurologist, there are certain skills to be a neurologist, and you wanted to elaborate and describe a story that will highlight those skills in you. So that will put you as a right person for that specialty. So this is how you should like work on your personal statement.
Okay. Then I have another question about supplemental eras. So I think it has got three sections. It has got meaningful experiences and signaling the programs and geographic preferences. In that part, in the geography sections, it has got two things again. That there are around 8 geographic sections, and also there are three divisions. I mean, like urban, rural, and all that. So what are the things when I was looking at the ERAS application, the average rural population is less than 2,000, and anything about 2,000 population is considered urban area. So what do you like? Anyway, any person, any applicant wants to work in the urban area itself. So what can I put in that application, like in the type in that CV, like to work in the urban area, not in the rural area? Like how should I go about it, especially in the supplemental ERAS?
Can you rephrase it again?
Like in the supplemental eras, there are
Yeah.
three different sections. It
Right.
has got some meaningful experiences of the main eras application, as well as the geographic preferences, as well as signaling the programs.
Mm-hmm.
It's considered to the like geographic preferences. There are again two subdivisions.
Okay.
So why are signaling to that division? There are given around 8 divisions. They are divided in some states and some divisions, as well as they're telling us to why you want to choose the rural area or why you want to choose an urban area, and we have to type in all those things in 300 characters without with spaces. So that is what supplemental ERAS is telling about. So what should I include in it? But to be honest with you, I want to work in an area which is about 2,000 population, right?
Okay.
Right. So what I can include in that? Because this is the first time, I think this is the second time they're introducing the supplemental ERAS in the math season. So what can I write? Like what can I write into that?
So I don't know if we did this, Sai Kumar, for neurology. Did we have this?
So, so the supplemental ERAS application was started last year for
Yeah.
us, and I was checking it. One of the applicants showed it to me, so they changed it completely. So I think at this stage, supplemental ERAS application is all messed up. Even the program directors are not taking it seriously, because while we were applying last year, they asked us to write 5 stories, 5 meaningful stories in the supplemental ERAS. I don't think everybody has completed all the 5 stories. Maybe one or two. That's it. Even I've attended a webinar where one of the program director from neurology, like, he was telling that I don't think we'll consider supplemental ERAS for the next 1 or 2 cycles, because we just started it and we don't even know how to assess that and how to judge applicants based on the very newly started whatever that is. So coming to your point about urban rural, you just write random thing. I don't think it really matters. That's what I did as well. I completed my supplemental ERAS in 5 minutes, all the 5 stories, and so signaling as well, because it's all new to us. There's nothing much guidance for us, so that would be my answer.
I think
That, yeah, please go. Yeah,
okay.
please go.
I
Yeah,
think
please go ahead.
I can reflect. I think you can reflect from your previous experiences and try to include that and why you wanted to work in this kind of particular kind of setting. So try to reflect from your previous experiences and build on why you wanted to continue this, or like, and that you wanted to continue that kind of work in that setting. Other than that, I cannot think of any other things that we can include. And honestly, of all the in all the interviews I have attended this season, no one has ever brought up about these 5 experiences, and no one has ever actually seriously considered those signals. So it's kind of like new to everyone, and I don't think they even took a clock at it. They must have trashed it.
I think best person to answer this question is going to be Rahul next year, and he's going to answer this in the webinar. The significance, because things keep changing so much, Rahul. Like I
Right,
never had
right.
supplement class. Even Sai and Saket don't have too much experience. They're going to tell us how to do it.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Thank you.
Siddharth, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a small question. So previously, there was a golden number for number of interviews that you need to get to actually match somewhere. It was around 10, if I was not wrong. But do you think such a number actually exists, or what's your take on it?
There is no golden number, but having more interviews will definitely increase your chances to match. Even you can still match with just one interview, and just don't believe that one interview is enough to match. Along with that one interview, you should have extraordinary communication skills and interview skills. So it's only possible with extraordinary communication and interview skills. It doesn't matter how many interviews you got, as long as you have the skills, you can match with any number of interviews. So there is no golden number. It will only increase your probability for match, but it will not guarantee you much.
All right, thanks.
Dr. Annam, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
You mentioned that you met some fresh graduates during your journey who did their steps while working at a research position in the US. I'm wondering how they got those positions. Do you think it's just by expressing genuine interest and luck, or through connections? What do you think they had in their CV to get those research positions if they had not even given their steps at that point?
So they got those positions by attending conferences and networking with the faculty in that conference. So that's what I mentioned. Attend conferences, even though you're not in the US to attend electives, just come to attend this conference, because as a student, the registration is also cheaper for you. Attend, just go through all the posters, abstracts on display, go meet up the people, ask about their research, ask them to explain explain what is this, and then you can get into chat with them. And then you, even if you're not talking to a faculty, the residents or the people you're talking to will might know someone who they can connect you with. So that's all. That's how they got. So it was through connections, and it was by just expressing genuine interest.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I think we're already 1 hour past our fixed schedule, so I think it's time to end the session for today. Once again, thank you everyone for attending this session, and we'll keep doing this. We'll have more amazing speakers. Even Dr. Vinay expressed his interest to continue to help and guide future applicants. But thank you so much, Dr. Vinay and Dr. Saketh, for being here today. And even I had a lot to learn. If I were in my second year attending this webinar, I would, my mind would have blown out. And one thing I've learned is try to make notes again, because while I was attending both your webinars, I thought, okay, I should make a note because there's a lot to remember as well. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you here today.
It's a
Do you
pleasure.
want to add anything, Shanti? At core team members.
Glad that I'm part of this webinar. Like, even though it did not even feel like a 3-hour session, because it was very engaging, and so much new information to learn from this as well. So really thankful to Dr. Vinay and Dr. Saket.
thank you both of you for hosting this and giving us this platform. I'm sure Saket also would agree that this is a platform that we were looking for in the past, but this is a good way of reaching out to multiple people. And I think Sai mentioned this is going to be recorded. So everyone here, I mean, if you guys missed some things or joined in later, I'm sure you can access the YouTube video again. And looks like Let's Talk USMLE has Twitter, Instagram presence now. Of course, Twitter presence is there, and we'll hopefully share the link and people can watch what they missed or again rewatch some certain sections. But thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you guys for organizing this, and I'm glad to be here. And good luck to everyone who's applying to match, and wherever you wanted to go. I hope you all achieve your dreams.
Yeah, thank you so much, and great evening. So again, this is going to be recorded, and this is recorded and will be uploaded on YouTube as well. So we are starting out. We had our Instagram page and started recently our LinkedIn and Twitter as well. So try to follow us there for updates, and see you in the next session. Bye bye. Bye bye.